Understood.
Rather, at least because I'm about to get arrested, I would at least like to say, "Hey, I'm not coming back to Nicaea for a while."
Yeah, fair enough. And you can, and as a note, and this goes for anybody, if anyone ever wants to send their messages privately, because maybe we don't want the whole party to know all of our secret correspondences in our political intrigue game, and that's perfectly fine. But if not, feel free to share those aloud. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna let you know the price that you'll be paying here. We're trying to get to New Seer. Where are you, New Seer?
So,
Not in Thrain, Jesus.
stand by here.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. And then they would put her down there. Okay, so this will cost you, my friend, 10 gold. We'll call it an even 10.
Sure, I'll play that.
Cool, because that's for copper and that's
Yeah,
10,000. So yeah, that's right. 10 gold to have that message sent from Lucia.
cool. I will send you the letter in Zoom.
Fantastic. Does anybody else have message? I saw Holden's hand go up pretty quick. Holden, do you have a message that needs sending?
Yeah. The message that I posted, I would like to send, and it's going to be quite pricey, I understand. But I'd like to send it via House Basilis
To uh,
to
sorry, one more time.
Asha. Yeah. So the message that I posted, I'd like to send it via House Civis to Asha Lyring, uh, right, Lyrandar.
To Osha. Osha of House Lyrandar. Right, where you're from, right?
Yep.
Okay, got it. So, So you're going to use the messaging station?
I am going to use the messaging station. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Do you have a word count for me?
Yeah. I believe it was 468.
468. So that's going to be 468. So that's going to be, we'll call that 45 gold pieces. I believe that is correct. Yeah, no, 45 gold pieces.
Will do.
Okay, I have the message. You did send it to me. So I've got that in mind. I'm going to write these down in my notes so I can keep track of them later. Message.
And I also have another one too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that I'd like to send by via like land courier.
Okay.
To Mara Stormcrest, also in the same region.
Okay. Same method?
No, via land courier. So just via like normal physical letter post. I understand it's going to take a while.
Okay. Got it. For courier service, silver piece a mile. All right, let's get to it. Man, is the bridge between Thallust and Rickenmark broken? It doesn't seem to be crossing. I'll look into that later, but I'm going to just say it's. I guess I kind of need to figure that out.
Even if it is broken, I don't think it's implausible to say that like there's a ferry running.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably have a ferry service going. Yeah, that's not implausible. That would be House Lyrander, though, is the issue.
Right.
Broken. Come on, bridge. Nope. Oh, sorry, folks. I probably should have figured this out earlier.
That's all right. It's going to take it a while to get there, so maybe you get stopped
Yeah.
on the way. It's fun.
Linked by the lightning rail house. Two main operations provide long distance. Blah. Lightning rails, bound elementals. Lightning rails, airships forward. Nope, we're not worried about that. Communication, houses, learning, saying that was very expensive. It's fine. We're gonna move along, and I'll look into that later. But we'll say, yeah, you can cross that bridge. Literally cross that bridge when it comes to it. Okay, I'm gonna be a little generalized here about your courier service. It's gonna be a little while. Yeah, then you courier it down to Mulder. And then all the way up to Calling Peak. And then at that point we just oh boy, my friend, that's okay. I'm gonna be generous and call that 2,000 miles. Okay. It's gonna be 200 gold pieces. Do you have access to that amount of
Like
money?
200 gold pieces?
Yeah, you want the courier service, right? That's a silver piece per mile. And from
Oh.
Fairhaven to there, that's
Right.
2,000 miles.
I thought it was a copper piece per mile. It sounds like
Not
it
for
sounds like it's less expensive to just messing to just sending stone it then.
it's a silver. It's a copper piece per standard mail service. But if you want like the highly secured courier service, that's a silver piece per mile.
Oh no, just regular mail service.
Oh, okay. In that case, that's going to be 20. So it's much more manageable.
20 gold? Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'll work.
much more manageable.
How long does the mail usually take to deliver?
Depends on the type of service you're acquiring. The house civis is essentially instantaneous. Their messaging stations are like within the day, within minutes. It gets to the person you want it to go to. And then House Orion provides services that will travel across the lightning rail mostly. So still fast, but still probably, depending on how far you go, might be a matter of days.
Okay.
Okay. So I will require let's call it a stealth or deception check hold in and cross as you guys go to acquire these services.
14 deception.
Okay.
18 deception.
Seems you're lucky the guards were a little off their mark today, just by a tad too, Mr. Cross, especially. But you guys managed to get your stuff done. Rowan, I believe you had messages to send, yeah? You're muted. Oh no, you're not. You're not. You're good. Sorry.
I don't think I can. Because of where it's falling in the game, I actually don't think I can.
Okay, fair enough. No problem. Is that all? And with that, we complete. I'm going to say that these 3 phases are definitely a little bit of a work in progress. I might make minor little adjustments here or there, like maybe, for example, someone else needs to block your tag. Like, for example, if you're being accused of a crime and you say I'm innocent, that might not be that might not be enough. Yeah, but not establishing that right now. If I do change anything, you will all be informed. This is a work in progress. I hope you've enjoyed it. And we are going to bring ourselves to the game proper now, starting with our friends in a dungeon somewhere under the castle.
Really, we're in the darkest dungeon.
Darkest dungeon, that's right. You two were hauled off to this place. You were. This is indeed a very magical world where, it's hard to It's hard to get away with things like in other settings where they're very much ready for tricky and infamous individuals. So you were clapped in, considering your dragon mark. Not that they understand your dragon marks entirely, but because you're dragon marked, you were clapped in magical manacles. There it is. Bag over the head, pulled into the back of the cart. Very difficult to track where you were taken. You were taken off the cart at some point. You were hauled down a number of steps into a cold place. Down, down, down you went until you were thrown in a cage. Bag and manacles removed. Door closed behind you after you were alleviated of all of your personal possessions, armor, and weapons. And here you are. Yeah. Dolly, did you have anything?
No, not as of yet.
No, okay.
No.
Sorry. Just wanted to give you the chance. You're in here. You look at your surroundings. You guys are in fairly sizable dungeons, personal cells with bars. It's a impressive little prison system. It doesn't look like much, but there are definitely signs of glyphs and wards here and there to protect this place. Perhaps House Kundak had a little involvement in the creation of this place. Wouldn't be surprising. And very quickly and simply, you hear sort of whispers of people talking down the line. You see guards walking here and there, but most importantly, Zolly and Elizabeth, you are in the cells directly across from one another. You're here for about a moment, and you see each other.
Are our hands still like shackled, or is it just in a jail cell but relatively free to move around? What's that situation?
In a jail cell, easy to move around. You guys have been sort of stripped down to your common clothes, really patted down and checked for any special hidden weapons or items, and have just been kind of hauled in these cages. But so other than the clothes on your back, you have no possessions, but you are free to do what you like.
All right. Zali will approach over to the bars of the cell, and I'm assuming an arm can get through, but nothing more than that. So she'll just kind of like loop an arm through and like lean up against the bars and give a wave over towards Elizabeth.
You're like 10 feet apart. The hall's like 10 feet wide, just so you know.
Yeah, looking across the hallway. So, twice in one day.
So it would seem.
Now, I know why I am here, but you're more of a surprise. You didn't exactly seem the type to get on poorly with enforcement and guards.
When they exceed their authority, yeah, absolutely. The head of the city guard is an idiot.
I'm given to agree.
The other prisoners will remember this and spread this gossip.
They had a singular opportunity, and they've blown it. Well, perhaps not entirely, but enough.
In my experience with these things, it's often less irreparable damage and more something that everyone needs to smooth over, which is unfortunate. It's all very going in circles and talking and talking and talking, which is...
Certain amounts of evidence have a very short shelf life. The injured, in particular, the nature of those wounds and the nature of magical curing, the opportunity to learn something was there, and they've blown it. They were short-sighted and overstepping and overreaching.
Well, is there like a guard in the hall at the moment, like actively close enough to be listening, or is this just a brief moment of relative privacy?
Yeah, there's guards who like walk up and down the cell line, and you'll hear like several cells down, like banging like a baton on the cell. Be like quiet to whoever's down there. So you guys can kind of
Hmm.
talk hush, but when the guard comes by, you kind of quiet down and go by and keep talking.
Yeah. Um, Follow-up question. Is this the day we were arrested, or is this the following morning? Because this was kind of late at night that we were both taken in
This is like
within minutes.
yeah, this is the night. This is the night that you were arrested.
Yeah. They Inzel's gonna reach back and kind of like rub at the cut across her back. They I think they took the pen, but it was there whenever I went to check up on things.
You know, I had thought about that.
Mm-hmm. It could be a
I
good choice.
I I have a sneaking suspicion that the pen by which we signed was functioning as it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
As a whole, the people who signed with that pen were non-consequential. So the standard practice is what was used. The silver pen, which abrogated whatever the default safety trigger was, that was the object of interest. Do you follow?
I believe I do.
So everybody who signed in gold was fine because they were either not the target or were inconsequential. But there were some that were specifically targeted, and they were handed the other pen to sign.
So you think we were simply collateral and happenstance, and
I have a feeling that's the case. That would make much more sense. The royal entourage, they get the normal protections because they really weren't the target. It was the tier below, whether it was in the noble houses or not. And then the distaff, plus ones and hangers on, they got treated as normal because they were reasonably inconsequential.
interesting.
That would make infinitely more sense and indicate that there was a very specific plan in mind. The point that you made about explosion also gave me something to think about. Explosions are easy, relatively speaking. It can be done any number of ways, and that sends people and debris scattered hither and thon. But what we saw with that collapsing in on itself I'm not certain how that can get orchestrated without some research. But those sorts of injuries, particularly on that order of scale, is difficult to orchestrate.
Strike me as a very educated woman. Is it similar to, say, weapons of war that were used before the treaties were signed?
On a smaller scale, there were some implosion devices that I saw injuries related to, but explosions were, 1,000 to 1 more prevalent. Because they largely accomplish the same goal, destruction of a target. One is very easy to do. The other leaves fewer traces behind and is significantly more difficult to orchestrate. And the size to encompass that entire vessel, it staggers my imagination. It's not my area of expertise. I have some passing familiarity in theory, but
so in short, we're uncertain of the plan and also of the means, but
yeah, I think we can be certain that the logbook and pen combination, whether it was silver or gold, was the keying factor. Whether the default state was, in the event of a declared emergency, it teleports people off that put their names to the book with the given device. Those sorts of triggers, not very common, but not outside the realm of a possibility. You can trigger other contingent magics. Again, it's not my area of expertise.
Perhaps we could ask that Kenneth then.
Eventually.
She was in
There's the
paper.
sound of metal boots hitting the stones coming down the hall. There's several of them.
Jackboots.
Maybe a lot of them. 6, maybe 8. They come down. They come to your cells. Basically, and these guys are plated, helmed, all this stuff. Say, turn around, face the wall, begin to unlock the cell with the dangling of keys.
Yeah.
Cuff you behind your back, the manacles, bag your head, cuff your ankles, and you guys are shimmy down the halls in similar directions. But there's a part. Actually, you guys are shimmy down the halls, and you guys are kind of
for the record.
Yeah.
Not shimmying down the hall. If they want to move me, they will carry me.
Oh, you're putting up a little bit of a stink as you go.
I'm giving them absolutely no resistance. Completely dead weight.
Got it.
If they want to move me, they will move me.
And indeed, they do. These are well-trained warriors, and they do move you. Pick you up, and they kind of pick you up under either arm until your feet are just dangling. Just the chain between them kind of along the floor. And you guys are both put in a room The bags are taken off of your heads, but you two both sit in the same room. Um, and you're just kind of like left there in the room by yourselves. You're like sat in these seats or are manacled to the seats themselves, clasped to them. Bags pulled off your head, but you're just in like a very simple. There's four walls. There's a single metal door and one more seat with a desk in front of it, ahead of you. Um, uh, you wait for not long. You wait for about 2 minutes until two individuals come in. The first of which walks in and puts what some kind of really specialized, it looks to be like some kind of like iron case or box with various sliding drawers on it. Kind of puts that on the table and then puts down a series of papers on the table and stands in the back corner of the room. The person again, face covered, masculine in build. Um, um, Not armored though. Yeah, no, armored. Has a symbol of the sovereign host and the royal seal of the city of Ondair on their armor. Stand at the back of the room, very century-esque. And then you're going to see a man enter. A human man. He is later middle-aged. The gray of his hair doesn't match his youth, despite his age. He has the look of someone, his eyes sort of give you the look of someone who's seen a lot, maybe a little tired, but there's still a focus to them. I'd invite either of you to roll a history check to see if you've ever heard of this individual.
Sure. It's a 6.
6.
12.
12. Neither of you have seen this individual. Again, pale, circular spectacles. He has, he has the what's the thing called? The fluff, the royal,
The ascot.
ascot. Thank you very much. The ascot. He's got his he's wearing like a very formal white shirt with the puffy arms, and his collar's popped, buttoned down. You get the sense it's been a long night for this individual. Gold pocket watch in his vest and black pants. Very formal, but the look of a well dressed man who's had a long night. Dark circles under his eyes, no color to them, and again short, very gray, mostly salt, a little bit of pepper hair. Sits down, opens the page, looks at it all, looks at you two. And he's gonna sit back and start prepping a pipe, and pulls out of his pocket, looks at the time, puts the time away. He sits back and goes, "It's been a long night, I suspect, for all three of us."
You aren't wrong.
If you don't mind, I know your names. Elizabeth Solney, if I may call you that.
Quite all right.
I figure it's been a long night for all of us. And as you can perhaps imagine, as you, by the reports, are clever and educated, it seems, individuals who don't need much explaining to, so I'll not disrespect your intelligence and start getting to the point. We are information gathering people, and we need information.
You are of the
There's
royal
been-
eyes.
Yes, seems rather well informed, clever individuals. Might as well introduce myself. I am Spy Master Thule Rakonok. My name. You may call me Thule if you wish. I will post his handout at this point. Make everything easy on everybody. Yes. So, we require information. We know that there was an attack made on the Golden Dragon airship earlier this evening. We know that it seems to be in connection with a one Kara Irvath. She has since disappeared. The royal family was safely whisked away from the damage, but there is no sign of the remainder of the golden ship or any of the other victims, other than, of course, yourselves and your associates we've observed you with this evening. So we would like to ask where your associates are, and any other information you may have this evening. I'm sorry that you must have been detained this way. It wasn't my intention to have you brought here in such dire circumstances, but, you did some pretty impressive things, I believe, from what to put it lightly.
Well, given the nature of the circumstances this evening, it was clear to me that if there were any injuries and subsequent information that could be gleaned from those, it would have been beneficial for a trained medic to be available to treat some of those injuries. To which, that's where I was headed until I was accosted by the overzealous city guard, and I needed to take certain steps to make sure some information was imparted. In turn, I will impart that same information to you. I'm sure that you are aware that the airship has shed no debris, meaning that it was not an explosion. It collapsed in on itself, which is
Collapsed in on itself. You observed
yes,
this.
implosion.
Is this a theory or a
I
first-hand observation?
saw it from my perspective and vantage point.
I see.
And I assume that you found no debris field, nor scattered bodies hither and yon. I deduce the lack of bodies from the fact that there wasn't a triage or a call for triage from House Jarosco while I was there.
And what of you, Sali? Did you observe this event as well?
I did. I was on the ship and I was teleported off of it whenever things went sideways.
You two were teleported off of it.
Yes,
Was this a measure that you all had in store?
I don't believe so. I have a theory, but it is far from provable. I just have some conjecture. Conjecture based on reasonable inference, but conjecture nonetheless.
See.
I think that there is... Oh, by all means, Sally. Go.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I was simply looking into, one, recovery of my own possessions, which would be a sort of studded leather, some trail rations, a short sword, a scimitar, a longbow, a quiver of arrows, and a small coin purse, along with some odds and ends and trinkets from my travels. And also looking into some of our theories on what may have caused this, in terms of who was targeted and why.
The reports of your infiltration were most impressive. House Thrash seems its name is very well earned. You have, at the very least, my my wish to have you within our service.
Well, I believe that largely, when it comes to mobility, House Midani is typically your preferred employees, but I'm sure in the spirit of the current dangers, if you're looking for these people to be apprehended, you could hire the Finders Guild instead.
House. So to be clear, Zali, you don't know that House Fadani has any association with spies now. That's hidden information.
Really, they're the primary inquisitives, not the Mark of Shadow, the Mark of Sentinel, I think.
Oh, Dennis. You're talking about Dennis.
No, Denaeth is
Marcus Sentinel.
Marcus Sentinel, yeah.
Yeah,
The Mark of
Denaeth is
Shadow, the world doesn't know that the Mark of Shadow is associated with anything to do other than entertainment.
Madani is not Shadow, are they?
Madani.
Mark of Detection.
You're talking about, oh, my apologies.
Yeah, the people of the Tower of Inquisition.
No, my apologies. Sorry, I misheard. I thought you said Fadon.
No.
I mixed it up with Fiara. My apologies. No, you're good. Sorry.
I'd be happy to take on this job and work on friendly terms.
I think the 2 points of information that I certainly am most interested to speak to you two about. I have seen many members of Dragonmart houses, everyone has. I've never seen two houses hold a similar design of mark before. And you two seem to indeed have a similar. I've seen the mark expand, I've never seen it. Two of them, and I've never seen two people from two different houses have the same one. May I ask, out of pure curiosity, what that's about?
Oh, we are as much in the dark as you. This one? Last night.
It's something that's going to need further investigation.
When did these marks appear in the evening last night?
After the ship exploded, or rather imploded. Apologies.
So, let me put the story together, because I just want to be clear. You were aboard the Gala, and you witnessed this speech by Cara Iveth, yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You witnessed the royal family disappear, and then you were all teleported to a Vantage in which you observed the implosion of the Golden Dragon, and
Let's
then
pause and go back.
Yes, please.
There are some pieces that you have missed. This Kara person, I really couldn't see her. I spend a lot of my days looking at crotches. So
I see.
She's giving her speech.
Yep.
There was some physical disturbance aboard the vessel. A shaking and a listing of obviously something structural and bad happening.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly thereafter, the royal entourage, we could see them wink out of existence. More tremors, more shaking, more severe listing. And as that was continuing to go on, additional people beyond ourselves and the royal entourage also disappeared. As the ship was coming apart, we also were transported. And that's where we had an opportunity to view the final moments of the ship coming apart and falling into itself.
Mm.
When we arrived on the ground, that's when these marks, and she will gesture to the House Jarosco mark,
Yeah.
the mark of healing. When these first manifest, the tactical sensation varies a little bit from individual to individual, but usually it's sort of like a itching, burning, not quite a bad rash, but similar, uh, that lasts for a brief period, and you get acclimatized to it. I'm not certain that it ever actually goes away, but it doesn't become a, a, a focus point. Uh, that's the order. What what this new mark entails, we really have not had an opportunity to investigate it to any degree. I can tell you that it is much like the other house marks in that its coloration and consistency is consistent with the normal ideation for the house marks, and it is not the normal ideation for the more aberrant marks.
So, Gala, speech by Para-Irvath, rumblings, explosions from below decks, listing, as you say, teleporting. You all vanish to the nearby hillside to see vantage of Golden Dragon's implosion, and new dragon mark emerges. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Your other associates. I've been informed that there are 4 additional associates. 3 humans and a warforged. They experienced the same events?
To a greater or lesser degree. We felt obligated to move and investigate in our own particular idioms, with the
Sourcing.
intent of playing catch up with what we could find out. Usually with dramatic situations, the opportunity to learn something useful before it is obfuscated has a limited window. In my particular instance, I was headed to look for, people who were presenting with serious injuries or even relatively minor injuries, but were of an unusual nature. Um, but obviously, and she will look at the manacles. I didn't have an opportunity to take that into account.
And your situations as they are present are more, as I said, severe than I would have liked. This is a place for criminal, and truly we wished your appearance for the sake of understanding the situation. You are quite right. The city guard can be a potent, if blunt, force, undirected and unsophisticated in its methodology. I would wish to know where your friends have ended up, so that we may bring them in for questioning, not for imprisonment, but questioning. And indeed, I can assure you that if you tell us where they are, you will be moved to quarters more befitting of your stations and situations.
Would that I could tell you, but to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea. We
Tell
went
me.
our separate ways, and with a loose endeavor to meet back in a couple of days' time with whatever information that we could find out.
Zolly,
Can Zully try and get a read on this guy?
about what?
Is that offer genuine, or is this more of a tell us where the rest of the gang is? Sure, we'll cut a deal, and then,
Sure, make a deception check.
Yeah,
And I'll
'cause she
have
doesn't-
Elizabeth. Oh, go ahead, please. Well, let's
Yeah.
finish with you, Zolly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she doesn't wholly trust a spy master in being honest on what they're offering. Ooh, that's not great though. I'm gonna use my inspiration on that, and
Fair
it's better. It's a 16.
16. Zolly, is aware that he is a spy master, and there is, obviously some trickery that goes on in the in his line of work. But you trust him in this moment. He seems to be persuasive as opposed to deceptive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just for a couple checks, and then we'll swing back around to you, Zolly.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, I'd like you a persuasion check for the events that you described to start.
That'll be a 6.
Understood. I'll let you take advantage because Zolly has confirmed in different instances what you have said.
That'll still be a 6.
Oh boy. Got it. And lastly, I'd like you to make not quite yet. I'm going to throw one more question at you, Elizabeth. We'll swing over to you, Zolly, because he'll want to follow up with that. He'll say, you all went your separate ways. And where did you meet after you entered the city of Fairhaven? There was a point where you all had counsel. Where was that?
We took a table at a tavern that one of the other members mentioned, whose honestly location I remember, name eludes me at the moment. Was a G name, was reasonably upscale. Guarded goblet, gilded something.
Gilded goblet, maybe? Gilded chalice?
I
It's something involving a cup of some kind, but I mean,
I
A gilded cup? Upscale inn known as the Gilded
Shard.
Cup.
Gilded shard.
Gilded Shard. Make me a persuasion check, you two.
alright. Individually?
Yeah. Jeez.
15.
15. Elizabeth, yeah.
I rolled a 2, giving me a total of 1.
Got it. Okay. He says, very well. We will, well, thank you. We
If
will...
I may be so bold as to make a suggestion, let them have their reign until tomorrow. They may find something that is beneficial and worthwhile. And they may turn themselves in. It's not like they could go far enough, fast enough with the resources that the royal court has available to them that they could disappear.
He'll gather his papers and he will say, I will have agents sent to this establishment. Thank you for your honesty. They will be brought in for questioning. And if
Did
they
you
are
want
indeed
the
found
other
there,
piece of information that may be worthwhile to have?
he'll turn to the guard in the corner, give them a nod, and they will proceed out of the cell. And then he'll kind of fold his fingers and say, sure.
It would be worth knowing if the design for the Golden Dragon included a safety measure of some sort that was responsible for the teleportations. Because we're pretty certain that that mechanism was tied in the with the logbook, the guest register, because all of us had to sign our names upon entering before we were allowed on board the ship, and different pens were used, notably different, one silver, one gold.
Is there anything you would like to add as well, Zolly?
Do you plan to keep us in our cells until you find our compatriots, or are you planning on allowing us some freedom to stretch our legs?
At the very least, would like to confirm these suspicions, even if they are not there. If we can confirm your story, then we will know you to be honest. Or, of course, you'd be willing to subject yourselves to a zone of truth interrogation. We can move the process along a little bit quicker.
Absolutely. Bring them forth.
By all means.
Very well. He'll open one of the drawers on the box, and he is going to take out what looks like some kind of like a stone. He'll put it on top of this. It looks like sort of like a metal holder. It's like meant to hold the gem. And the moment they connect, there's like a sizzle of magic, and a small plume, barely perceivable to the visual eye, sort of spans out. Do you resist?
No.
No.
Nope.
We'll speed it along, where he will take you through a series of yes or no questions based on the information you already answered. You answer yes or no as requested, and obviously answer truthfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. He will end it off by saying, and to the best of your knowledge, are either of you connected to the attack itself or responsible for it in any way?
No, sir.
No, not that I know of.
Well, I'd like to amend that. They've involved me, and I will continue to be involved.
I see. Well, it never hurts to have extra eyes on dangerous things, especially ones from such well-reputed Dragonboat houses as yourselves. It is, I apologize on behalf of the Guard of Ondair, and we will see to it that you are transported to more considerable quarters until your friends are received here by the Royal Eyes. Be assured, and he's like packing everything up. He could say, be assured there will be a royal audience regarding the matter. I have no doubt that the Queen in her current state wishes to be personally involved in the matters at hand. So prepare yourselves accordingly. And good luck. I have no doubt we will speak again in due time. And he will pack up his papers, and he'll pick up the box along with the gem, put them back in the box. He'll knock on the door. The guard will open. He'll say, he'll say, transport them to more amenable quarters, and we'll give you both like a little nod of the head, almost a bow of sorts, and we'll leave. And sure enough, the guards will come in and unshackle you. They won't reshackle you either, and they will a lot less like push and shove with a bag over your head. There will still be a bag over your head element. You get the sense there's certain secrets in here they'd rather keep secret. Are transported up and out of the dank dungeon, and we'll come back to you two in good time.
Alrighty.
But in the meantime, Ludwig, Holden, Cross, Rowan, on the run. What are you all up to?
Ladies first. Okay.
So what part are we taking it from?
I presume when you woke up, taking you up from last time. So Holden, you left. I believe Cross, you did as well.
Yes.
So you two are. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna pick it up, an hour after that, because you guys have spread some gossip, spread some rumors, and so on and so forth. And we'll say that's what you did in the moment. So Holden and Cross, you're out and about. You've just done a little rumor reputation, some messages sent. Rowan, same for you. You're out in disguise on the streets because that is how you influenced reputation to the best of your abilities. Which actually brings us to a point, Rowan. You said that you sent messages to higher stationed individuals to help affect your reputation, yes?
Holden?
Rowan.
No, Rowan.
And then you didn't send those messages.
So yeah. What I would have tried to have done is get a hold of the person at the Chronicle.
And that will require a message sent. They move around a lot because they're, they work. So they could be in Fairhaven, they could not be in Fairhaven. You probably were given their card, so to speak, and told that if you go to House Civis, they can get you in contact. Yeah.
So anything that big, here's the thought. Here's how Rowan would have done. Wake up, find out there's a problem. Fix the reputation problem before it sticks. Turn herself in. That's like order of operations.
That's the key. I understand. And the key is fixing the reputation problem. Okay. So when you said you were dealing with your reputation, you were going about it by getting messages to high-ranking individuals to speak on your behalf.
Yes.
Are you doing that?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. Let's get that out of the way, because if you don't do that, it doesn't go successfully, then your reputation change won't be affected.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so what are we doing?
All right. The shift weave. She's proficient in painter's tools and weaver's tools. She's got her tinker's tools out. She needs 5 outfits on the shift weave.
Got it. You've got 5. So you're equipped to go do. Okay, we gotta reel this back a bit because we got a little confused with what's going on here. This is a simple yes or no question. Are you going to House Orion or House Civis to send these messages?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna make it plain and simple. Make me a stealth or deception, and if you want to spend a disguised self, I'll even allow performance.
Yes, I am going to spend a disguised self.
Okay, so go ahead and roll a performance check to see if you could have got that message sent.
All right, that is a 19 on the dice, and my performance, I believe, is +5. Just let me check. It is a +5.
19 plus 5, so 24?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you get in there, you get your message sent. You can send them either to me privately or feel free to tell them now. It can be fun if you want to talk about it now.
I've got it up.
Okay.
Kara Irva, half-elven traveler, addressed the gala's attendees immediately before the airship's implosion. Her speech, while mostly innocuous, built to an uncomfortable climax of class resentment before she vanished. Her parting words were a toast, quote, to thank those of you who live on, and to make sure that the last war is indeed the last war. I raise my glass to you, the dragon-marked houses, those of you from old lineages, and those of you from very new lineages. Here's to everyone aboard the ship. Goodbye forever. There was a disturbance below the decks that affected the stability of the ship. The royal family vanished. A number of arcane glyphs activated, presumably the security system, and 6 were inexplicably teleported to a hillside. The Queen's Guard sees Kira as the prime suspect.
Okay. How is this being sent into where? Are you doing like the Orion? Are you doing Civis? How are you sending it?
Orion. Courier.
Okay. Courier by Orion. Secured courier. Okay. To where?
Drillana.
Just to them? Oh, you're sending it to Drillana. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Call Silver. Because Drillana's in.
Guys, I'll be right back.
Okay. So let's swap around to Holden, Ludwig, Cross. Ludwig, last we saw you were in the Queen's Kiss, so you're still there. Cross, Holden, you are out and about. What's anyone up to?
May I go next?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I'm going to. The moment I see like the food, the moment I see the newspaper with my face on it, I instantly like finish up all my food and put that medical mask on my face that Liz gave me last night. I try to make my way towards towards the hotel's. Who's the guy at the head of the hotel? The
Gilded Shard.
No, the receptionist at the hotel.
Oh, sure. You go to the
at the front of the Queen's Kiss, the front man, something like that.
Yeah. You go to the like the host, the greeter,
the greeter, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse. Yes. Hello. I have a good question.
Yes.
Could you? And I have my mask on, and I have all my scarf on, Ryan. Just so you know.
Understood.
And yes, pardon me, but I would like to know where could you find are there where would be the closest lawyer here in Fairhaven? There's some matters I need to discuss regarding family things, matters.
Yes, of course, sir. Yes, allow me to get you a list of nearby lawyers.
Yes, thank you.
Give me a moment, and they will run back and get you a list of lawyers.
And I make sure I have all my money with me and everything. Like, okay, good.
Yeah, you've got all your possessions out of the room.
Thank God I traveled light.
Yeah. Okay. They're going to come back. Let's see. Oh my God, this is so silly.
Do it.
Yeah, there's going to be a number of them. The first of which is called Advocates of the Chalice. And it's just a list of lawyers. It's not like it doesn't go crazy, but it's like Advocates of the Chalice. One of the most notable ladies there is Lady Marina Valanis. There is Jover and Associates. There's the Platinum Quill. the Arcane Arbitration Council. It's a list of various like lawyers. My lawyer words are sucking right now, but yeah, a list of lawyers and lawyer groups.
And their firms.
Yeah, they're firms. Thank you. It's a list of like law firms essentially around Fairhaven. Um, you'd have to talk to somebody to like expand more. It's very much like today, or you like might Google like, oh, lawyers, and it's like,
You know, I tell the attendants, well, thank you very much, sir. And by the way, could you know which one is the closest by?
sure, I believe so. The nearest one, oh my God, there's so many here in the city. It would be, I'll tell you what, we're gonna make life easy for you, Ludwig. Why don't you make me a investigation check to look through this list and find one that might work best for you?
Okay, let's investigate. 10.
10. The first one on the list, Advocates of the Chalice, they deal with high-profile civil cases, noble disputes, and magical property rights. They deal with noble disputes and high-profile civil things. It could be a match. Yeah, that's the one that sort of immediately sticks out to you as a 10.
She was like, oh. We'll ask attendant. The defendants of the chalice, correct?
Advocates of the Chalice. Yes.
Advocates of the
just,
Chalice.
Make your way down the road, and then gives you the location of how to get
Like,
to
is
the
it
Advocates
walking
of the Chalice.
distance?
Yeah. Well, everything's
Okay.
walking distance. Yeah.
Okay, it's walking distance. I immediately just start going there, like, and if I could, I would put up a newspaper up in front of my face, like,
Yeah, you've got literally
Like,
got your
nothing.
face right here. You're like,
it's like,
yeah,
Not like-
absolutely.
not-
You go walking down the street as conspicuous as can be,
It's-
or inconspicuous. You're masked up and you got your thing wrapped, and you're trying to look inconspicuous. Why don't you make me a stealth check? Plain and simple.
okay. Yeah, it's open. Unnatural 20.
There are a number of guards who are just out, like, watching the street, looking around. You might even notice some bounty hunters here and there who are looking to get a little extra, maybe get a little extra favor of the royal court by turning in some people wanted for questioning.
Well, shit.
You, as an individual with a warrior mind, you kind of see the dangerous elements as you walk down the street, but you do manage to make it past all of that and get to your firm without too much more trouble. We'll circle back to you. I'm just going to try and hot seat
problem.
it real
Go
quick.
ahead.
I'm going to swap the hot seat just to get where everyone's going. What about? I'm going to try and finish up with you, Rowan. Where are? Oh yeah, okay. It's a silver. It's a silver to send your message to Jorana. Yeah, cool. You get that done. Cross, Holden, where you go? What's going on?
I'll keep it really simple. Cross, once they've like sent the letter, that's kind of business taken care of, and with awareness that they're wanted, I'd rather just nip this in the bud as soon as possible and just turn themselves in.
Okay, you're heading to the Sovereign District, no problem.
Yeah.
Holden?
Yeah. I think the last time we agreed that Holden's stuff was all back at the suite. So I assume that he's if he's left, he's gathered that all up and taken it with him. Fair.
Yep. We could assume that you have all your stuff right now.
All right. And so I've seen the paper and I'm out in public.
Yep. You've seen the paper. You're out in public, and you also have just finished spreading all this gossip.
Right. All right. So at this point, I'm going to want to try and find any private space that I think I can use for, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes. So a public restroom, a hidden space in a back alley, whatever. I'm
Sure.
going to try, eventually, I want enough privacy to, like, apply a disguise.
Okay. I don't imagine that would be too difficult. You can find your way into any number of places to do such a thing. Maybe even like a bats, and you go into like, eh, you find a place. You find a place. It's fine. Um, you go into some tavern. You like run up behind a tavern down an alley. I'm not too worried. Make me a stealth check. Just a very. This is going to be too difficult.
19.
Yeah, easily done. Why don't you roll for me your disguise kit performance check at advantage because you're proficient?
16.
15. Okay, that will certainly 16. Understood. That will certainly fool the vast majority of individuals. Yeah, you do so enough to hide your appearance to the common man. Maybe you put like a wig on with longer hair, glasses. You know, maybe like shave something to yeah. You completely just like fix this up, make it look just the way you need it to. Apply a mustache. You have a very classy handlebar mustache. Change your outfit. You're looking good.
And maybe in this moment, maybe not, but he's going to want to establish another identity, which he's going to write up paperwork for as soon as he finds a place to stay. So he's going to look for another room somewhere in the city, something very, very meager, kind of like the like shadiest, shantiest thing one might.
You muted yourself. There you go.
Yeah, one might find in the city.
Looking for a dive.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
just
better.
a room. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. All right. Looking for a little dive. Looking for a little dive. Um, what do you find? Um, you find like you find a dive bar. It's so
Right.
divey that the sign has fallen off, and you're not even really sure the name of this place. You go in, dingy. It's definitely for a more unsophisticated element of the city.
Right. And so now, if he can rent a room real quick, which is what he's after, rent a cheap room. All he needs is a little private space and a little time to begin to actually like work this personality into being. So he puts on his makeup a little bit better with his disguise kit. He practices some facial expressions, works on like shading the contours of his face, picks out a specific version of the clothing that he's going to intend to repeat. His hat that he bought from someone else, he's going to pull it down over his dragon mark a little bit, and maybe sit down to write himself up a little bit of paperwork. Nothing super official, but just something that seems to be like from maybe one business owner to another and a letter of introduction or something, saying that this is Harmon Joyce, a a courier from or a courier or transporter from wherever to whatever, so that he has something to pull out if someone asks him what his name is to show that he actually does have kind of like the paperwork that you take in when you have to show like your utility bills
Right.
to prove that you are who you are, that sort of thing. Nothing superficial, nothing governmental, but something that says that he is a person, and he is going to create for himself the identity of Harmon Joyce, and he will have a small box full of silver rings, 20 silver rings, that he'll open up and begin to apply to individual fingers in a specific way, so that there are 2 rings on each of the fingers that he intends to be able to send certain messages to his people.
Understood. So I'm gonna say, because I think I found a better place for you to have held up. I'm gonna say Pasil has been known to use this place, and maybe you
Yeah.
used it once or twice back in the day. It still seems to be working. Um, or actually not back in the day. This is actually a very recent little hideout that the seal would have pointed you to. There is an abandoned cathedral of the Silver Flame in Fairhaven that nobody goes near except for some more criminal elements. And anybody who's in there is definitely up to no good. It is very clearly, if you're here, you're up to no good. And if you're stupid enough to come in here and not be able to hold your own in the underworld, you're getting lynched, robbed, maimed, something. And you make your way in there, and you find like a little corner that used to belong to like a priest or a confessional or something like that. You do all of this. I need you to make me a forgery kit check if you have it, and we also do need to discuss how you have 20 silver rings.
Oh, well, they don't have to be actual silver. Steel. I actually meant to say steel. Something
Okay.
something invaluable.
Yeah.
They don't have to be
Just
valuable at all.
rings. Understood. Cool. But yeah, go ahead.
All right, forgery. What am I rolling?
Forgery. Deception. This is less artistic, so this is more deception. Um, I'll say either deception or investigation, your choice at advantage, as you're kind of like reverse investigating, essentially. You're trying to be specific.
That's a lot of nat ones early on.
Oh,
All
no.
right, so that's a 17.
A 17. Again, pretty good. This identity you created is fairly good. Harmon Joyce is ready to go. It would take a pretty discerning eye to be able to see past it.
All right, and
That's what you get up to. Yeah.
So I will. Yeah. Once I've secured a place to stay and then a look and an identity, then I will begin to wander back out into the criminal underworld with my rings in place. I'm happy to describe them when you're ready.
Ready.
But looking for a little work. Okay. So I guess we will go with 2 rings each. Definitely left bicep, right bicep. Obviously, these aren't rings for the fingers, but rings that he can put on his arms. And then right thumb, right middle, definitely right ring, and right pinky.
Okay. Damn. Why don't you do me a favor and just send me those, just so I have them for backup reference. But that's a good bit of stuff. But in the meantime, so you put yourself to work a little bit and begin to become another individual. Let's proceed. I want to proceed back to Ludwig. I want to see where this goes, essentially, and we will
where this goes, like a little adventure into the woods.
Yeah, I'm gonna see where this goes, and then I will return to you, Cross and Rowan, probably, because you guys are, you're up to something. Okay, Ludwig, you find your way into indeed the law firm of, where did you go? There you are, Advocates of the Chalice. Let's see. You walk in, where you see there's various people working. You see that there's maybe like 3 or 4 individuals at work at front desks, and you see at the back there is basically like an office that has glass panes on it, and you see inside, like right at that moment, the door is open. You see that there is a woman sitting there in sapphire blue robes. And she's working away. She's got a quill in her hand, and she's got a pile of paperwork on her desk and around the office. It's well put together, but still looks like she's quite a busy woman. She's fairly attractive, and definitely looks to have a dragon mark, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Give me a second, I'll tell you about it. Oh, that's stupid. Yeah. Actually, hang on a second. Hmm. Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, yeah. You'll see she's half elf and she has a dragon mark.
Interesting. I ask one of the I ask one of the secretaries. Hello. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yes. How can I help
Yeah,
you?
yes, I'm sorry. I am in need of a lawyer, and it's rather an emergency situation.
Well, you're in luck. Lady Madani has a little bit of time.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
head right back there.
Yep. Thank you. And say them have a good day.
Okay. Yeah, it's like maybe not
I
the first time they've seen someone come up like, "Hey, I need help, and I need it quick."
I need a lawyer. I need it quick.
Go ahead, I guess.
I knock on like the door frame before I answer. Lady Madari, correct?
Yes. Her name is yeah, Madani, Lady Madani. Her name is Marina de Madani.
De Madani. Okay, Madani.
Yeah.
Lady Madani. De Madani.
She looks up. She has fair skin, pointed ears. She has a long blonde hair that's kind of like tied, but tied to the side so it drapes over the shoulder. And you would see in the center of her forehead, she has what looks almost like an eye dragon mark that is not like yours, not like yours by any measure. But there is something more intricate about the pattern. It's almost Egyptian esque, and it
Interesting.
is yellow. And she will look up at you and stand and reach across the counter, and she'll say, "Hello, I'm yes, Marina. You may call me Marina. What's her name?"
The Marina. Well, that's a very important matter, actually. That's a fairly topical matter these days, actually. And I close the door. And may I lock this?
By all means.
I lock it. Like, is this room secure?
This room is absolutely secure.
You may. I don't know how much you keep up with current events, but you may have already heard of me. And I hand her the paper.
Hand her the paper, and she goes. She looks at you, and she goes.
And I take off the mask. I am Ludwig Drager from Karnath, and I was at the festivities last night upon the Golden Dragon. And I sit down. And as you can
he looks a little like she's a little. You can tell she isn't like agape, but you can tell that there's like a pause of like a holy crap.
Like, oh my god, the front page just walked into my office.
That's exactly it. She's like the front page just walking in my office. And she'll look at the paper, look at you, and she'll be like, "Well, it's a real pleasure to meet you." And she'll hand you back the newspaper. She'll say, "Well,
May I sit down?"
Yeah, by all means, by all means.
Thank you.
Please tell me of your situation. I would be more than happy to hear about it and what you'd expect of me."
And I just be clear, like the lawyers here work the same way in Karnath, like attorney-client privilege and everything.
She'd say, absolutely, attorney-client privilege. Anything you share with me in this room will be between us, even if you choose not to hire my services.
Well, I walk her through the nights, through what happened. One by one, I came here because my father was invited. Yeah. He was busy. I came, yada yada yada.
Yeah. We can skip all that. You share the larger details of the night if you wish to skip along.
And before I knew it, I was teleported off the Golden Dragon onto a hill along with 5 other strangers, and above me I saw the Golden Dragon implode, not explode. Apparently, I was corrected on that. Implode.
Okay. Absolutely. If you want me to take the case, I'll take the case.
There is one more thing you should know.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I hope you're good at keeping a secret.
That's part of the gig.
that mark on your face. Which house does it belong to?
Well, to the mark of detection. I'm Madani.
Madani, correct. I'm sorry. There's I'm Madani. Well, sorry if I mixed you up. There's so many of them, but I'm sure you. I'm sure you're familiar. You have plenty of experience with dragon marks, and I take off my scarf.
She'll be a little dumbfounded for a second, her mark on her forehead is actually going to like ignite with a little bit of color, sort of almost like pulse here and there. She kind of stands up and makes her way around the table. She doesn't touch you or anything, but she looks at it with curiosity. Her eyes sort of like glow, her pupils faintly with the same color. She looks at it and she goes, "How interesting. My goodness."
I had the same thoughts last night. It appeared on all the others as well.
I attorney-client privilege.
Mhm.
Everything you say to me is held in the strictest of confidence. I do need to ask if you've explained to me the nights as they are. You assure me that, and I can only help you if you tell me the truth, right? There's nothing
Well.
saying that you have to tell me the truth, but I can't do my job very well if you don't. You assure me that everything that we've said here, in the strictest of confidence, of course, is true.
Everything I've said is true.
Make me a persuasion check, if it is indeed true, of course.
It is completely true.
Understood.
Yeah, 7.
7. Pretty good. She kind of looks at you, and she'll say, "This might be a big ask, but
Yes.
again, if you're willing, there's no obligation. I'll still represent you, even if you're not willing. Would you be open to me performing a feature that we are able to do in House Badani? And it allows me to sort of see into your mind and know the events as you experience them, and they will help me sort of walk in your shoes and allow me to understand the situation fully. Totally optional."
Go ahead.
Okay, this might feel a little strange. And again, it will glow, her eyes will glow, and you will feel the influence of the mark of finding making its way, or sorry, the mark of detection finding its way into your mind and you resist.
No, I do not.
She's blown across the room, but she's like, "Holy shit!" No, she doesn't. But you feel her in every part of your brain. You feel in this moment, this woman knows everything, like the things you fear most, the things you love most, the things you fear, the things that you currently fear, your family, your friends. There's no telling the things she knows of you, especially what happened last night. But in this moment, you share a perfect psychic connection with this woman, and she might understand you better than maybe your own family does in this moment. And then the mark will go away, and she'll go, "What a night you've experienced! My goodness."
Yeah, I hope that that it's an client privilege thing is binding.
It
Without respect.
certainly is. Most certainly is legally binding. Okay.
You believe me?
Of course I believe you. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say stay here. I've got a little private room off to the side there. It's quiet. I'm gonna have someone bring you whatever you need, drink, food, whatever it is, and we're gonna get right to work on this. This will be a pro bono case. I require no payment for this endeavor, and I'm gonna get right to work. Okay? I'm dropping everything.
Very well. Thank you.
Okay.
If you do require payments, I can message my father and have wealth sent back to you if you need it.
If you would feel more comfortable, but I am happy to do this pro bono. And I will also say, Ludwig, if you wished to gather your various associates, I would be more than happy to represent them as a whole as well.
I could recommend you to where they might be. If you can, as you can understand, I don't really feel comfortable walking out at the moment, but I can.
I understand.
Tell you where you can find them.
Absolutely. I'm going to get you somewhere to stay. I'm going to talk with some contacts here, keep everything on the hush-hush, see if I can't track them down, and if I can do so, I will see to it that they are... Ooh, better yet, if... I know their names.
You know where they are.
If you feel comfortable, I might send a messenger to House Civis to send them messages and inform them of our contract, if that's comfortable for you.
Go ahead. I'll happily do it. I will happily accept that. And one more thing before you leave.
Yes. Yes.
Could you please? You said you were going to the House Civis to send some messages. Could you
Yes.
send one to my father, please, back in Garnath? Tell him that I am under the representation. I am safe. I'm alive. And I have your representation with me.
Absolutely. I can
I
see
will
to that.
update
Absolutely.
him later on when I have the opportunity.
Okay, fantastic. Okay,
Thank you.
She's going to take you out. One of her clerks is going to take you to the nearby sort of private investigation room, and like they said, they're going to be like, "You need any food? You need any drink? Whatever." And we'll get that for you. Basically, she like walks out, puts you in the room, and you maybe hear muffled like, "Okay, everybody, stop what you're doing. I want everybody in my office right now." And then like there's like 5 minutes, and then you hear movement outside, and people like flying out the door. And basically, like she's like dropped all of her cases for this. And in due time, at the time that Elizabeth and Zolly find themselves indeed in more comfortable quarters, you'll actually find yourselves in an office, but it's a nicer office. There's like nice seating. There's like a coffee cart and some food. It's definitely not like sleeping quarters or whatnot. You get the sense that you're still probably not allowed to leave, but it is certainly more dignified and certainly more comfortable. And you are, if you request like better clothes than whatever they threw you in a cell with, they'll bring them to you, and you're taken care of. You're very well taken care of. Gilded cage, but yet still a cage. So while you two are just kind of settling into that, Cross and Rowan, as you guys approach the sovereign districts in your own times, and lastly, Holden, as you set out on a voyage as Harmon Joyce, you're all going to receive the same, like, not in the exact same time. In fact, like, Elizabeth, you'll receive it. And then a couple seconds later, Zolly, you'll receive it. Or actually, not, maybe like a minute or two later, you'll receive it. Same thing. You're all going to receive the same letter, which essentially says, good afternoon, or good morning. I represent Lady Marina du Medani, of Advocates of the Chalice law firm. Our services have been contracted by one Ludwig Erdrager for a certain case that you are aware of. We would be most appreciative if you would be willing to come to the Advocates of the Chalice law firm. We have taken on his case and would be more than happy to extend to you the same representation pro bono. If you would feel comfortable accepting this offer, please let us know. If not, have a pleasant day.
Rowan will respond in the affirmative and find out where they are.
Yeah. Zoldy considers her 25-word response and finally just fires back, "Sure. Period."
Sure, period.
You don't want to tell them where you are?
Understood.
Nah, she'll find them.
Elizabeth will answer, I would be very interested in representation.
Mm-hmm.
I am currently a guest of the Crown.
Okay. This will.
I'm 50-50 on this.
Yeah, what do you do, Kraus? What do you do?
The offer is appreciated but declined.
Okay. It sounds like. What about Holden? We haven't heard from Holden. Or should I say Harmon?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think he's probably going to. She left the name of the law firm, right?
Yeah, Advocates of the Chalice law firm.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to not respond via message or via sending, but he might try to seek out. Well, he will try to seek out the physical location of the law firm itself, and depending on how it looks from the outside, maybe duck his head in and try to explain the situation.
Okay. Wow, this just came the most interesting game of Law and Order I did not expect. But let's take our break as we move into this new arc.
I'm so happy I went to a lawyer. I lawyered up.
I think this is kind of funny that you guys
There's a part of me, Ryan, when the
Yeah.
next time you do a one shot, can it be the lawyers for these guys putting
Yeah,
the
the
together?
investigative lawyers. Yeah, that could be funny. The investigative lawyers like running around getting the evidence and all of that. That's very funny. Um, wow, this is fun. Okay, let's have our break, 15 minutes or so, and we'll be back and we'll see what happens next.
You're
All
welcome,
right.
everybody.
Thank you, Ludwig.
Hey. So Ryan, you enjoying the sudden legal drama I've created?
Yeah, I'm just really quickly brushing up on Code Galifar and the Treaty of Thronehold and the legals of the land. Super quickly
Exactly.
becoming acquainted with the law.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like because the moment I was texting this with Carmen, I thought last week the moment I saw our faces in the paper, I thought, well, shit, I need a lawyer because because in character I'm a rich dude. What do rich people do when they get in trouble? They get a lawyer.
You lawyer up, baby.
That's
And honestly,
smart.
like in the other games, you all play like kind of poor people who are like
Yeah.
risking their life and limb for money. You're all rich. You gotta think rich.
I
I mean,
imagine
you're
like
gonna be rich, but
yeah, I know, but my father's rich, but yes. But I thought that
it's the same thing. It's the same
I
thing.
know exact same thing exactly. But yeah, I thought that I imagine like back in the day, my character's dad told him, look, like maybe after like one or two drunken, maybe a drunken fight or two in the Atura and back in Karnath, he might have said, if you ever get in trouble, you get a lawyer. Imagine.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Well, we're mostly all back. We'll give Holden a second to. Yeah, okay, there he is. Okay, let's get to it. So,
Have come down for like noble scions, you know? Hang on, I'm sorry.
absolutely.
I think just froze up. Thank you. I'm back now.
No, you're good. You're good. Um, okay, we got a couple of great things that are about to. I'm gonna a couple of really fantastic things. We're gonna start with Cross. Oh man, the next part is gonna be great. I can't wait. I'm getting over myself in this moment. Okay, Cross. Let's start with you because you're the one who's not lawyered up. Everyone else is lawyered up. Stupid.
Truly unwise, but I don't know. Trust
shit.
you all.
Fuck it. Fuck it. It's a fantasy game. It's fun. What do? You just gonna walk up the front gates and be like, "Take me now."
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You walk up to the beautiful palace, the Fairhaven Royal Palace, the center of government here in Ondair. You throw your hands up. The guards are like,
It's my understanding that you're looking for me.
"Who are you?"
You're unknown warforged.
"You from the papers." They like look at each other. They say, "Yes, right this way, please." And the two guards at the gate will leave, and very quickly you'll find two becomes four, and you're escorted into the palace, which is kind of nice, but like not into like the front doors in the center of the courtiers. You're kind of taken around the side and into essentially what is the barracks, and an interrogation, and you're asked to sit and
Take a
wait.
seat. And
Yep.
wait. Little
Take a seat.
bit of
Wait.
mist ekes out.
Oh, and they'll leave. Okay. And that went better than all the other ones. I don't know what to do now. Yeah, the guards are like, "You didn't resist. What do we do now?" Yeah, so you just kind of hang out there, and you're gonna hang out there for a minute. In all honesty, it's kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I just want to create a new NPC. Oh, I don't like you. I don't like you.
Just hit the character randomizer, Ryan. It's that easy.
You know what? This is important enough. You wait for a little while there, Cross. So much so that we're actually going to get back to you in a moment. Um, okay. Rowan heads there. Holden heads there. Cross heads in. I got to time this all right. So Holden, you kind of hold back and you're watching the place. You see a number of people coming in and out. There's definitely some hustle and bustle going along. Various individuals of various, inclinations. Some look scholarly. Some people are, you would identify, dragon marked, all carrying the similar sort of eyeball looking dragon mark. How long do you want to stay there and just like stake the place in?
Well, I guess what I want to do is first of all make sure that I'm not being invited to meet with the authorities immediately, and then after that, I would probably want to, I want to go in as Holden, not as Harmon.
Okay.
So I would want, I would want, I would want to with a great heaving sigh and a lot of effort go back through the task of like undoing myself and put back on probably the clothes that Holden was wearing, walking onto the airship, right? The nicer clothes or whatever, and present myself at the front door as Holden.
Okay. I will say it doesn't take too much. Like you can still have. Oh, you want to like. Okay, yeah. So you fully redo the identity.
Yeah.
Take off the thing the best of your ability. As you come out of the alley, or maybe perception check just to see if there is trouble
Oh, yeah.
awaiting you.
Oh, that's a 4.
A 4? Tough to say. Tough to say. Tough to say.
That's
That is
right.
there seems to be a couple of exits. There's a back door at the very least. There's a front door and a back door.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. There
Uh,
could be a whole shit ton of guards inside.
That's fine. I'll take my chances, I suppose, and walk in
All
as
right.
Holden.
So we'll say, actually, I'll say that as you step out as Holden, you see, actually a complete unknown because of disguise self. Walk in. So I'll say, Rowan, you walk down the street and you see walking out of the alley directly across the street from Advocates of the Chalice is Holden Lackyard making his way across the road to enter the building. You did.
What Rowan wanted to do was get close to the area,
Yeah.
find a little piece of shadow to shift her weave into like real clothes, put her drop the disguise self, and actually walk in as herself also. So he might actually see all of that or not.
So this is what happens. You walk into the alley to do all of this, and you see Holden with his like pants half pulled down. He like looks over. And then a third just random guy comes in and goes like, "Oh, is Allie's tip? No, okay, I'll get the next one. Sorry. My bad.
So you would see Rowan's clothing change and her face would change, and she would go from being totally nondescript person to Rowan in a 3-piece suit.
Okay. So you two individuals. I'll say that Holden, you're enough of the way out of your previous identity that like Rowan wouldn't identify exactly what you're doing, other than changing clothes, really. Yeah, it's just
Fair
walking
enough.
together now.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys kind of just
Shall we?
give each other a nod. Yeah. Oh, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you ready?
I am.
All right, in we go then.
Go. You both walk in, and you see the place is bustling. There are, let's see, who's in there right now? There are 2 clerks and would they? I would say that there's 2 clerks who are just at the desks working away. You see that there's 2 other people sitting at desks at the back who are similarly marked with the dragon mark of detection, who are also working away, but they look to be of a little bit higher station than the clerks, of course. And one of them is going to approach you, the both of you, and say, "Good afternoon. Please, right this way. I'm afraid that your lawyer is currently out on business, but I would like to bring you to another one of our clients today. Right this way, please." And is going to take you into a door. Ludwig, this is the first time the door's open in a little while. You maybe have like a coffee or whatever you want.
Tea,
really.
coffee, something like that. Let's say tea.
Sure, whatever you want. You guys open the door to see this meeting room. It does have a long desk, a number of chairs. This isn't like an interrogation room by any means. I think I said that, but I don't think it would be. I think this is a very formal, like, your legal team sits on that side of the bench, or table, mine sits on this side of the table. It's like a long table with a number of chairs. So it's comfy enough. It's not incredible, but it's also not like a closed-in room, so whatever. And you guys walk in to see Ludwig or Drager sitting at the table with a tea. As one of these House Madani individuals bring you in and says, feel free to get yourself acquainted. Feel free to poke your head out and ask us anything, but consider yourself under our legal protection. Anything that you share with us is held in the strictest of confidence. And as soon as she gets in, I am certain that Lady Marina de Madani will be more than excited to talk to all of you, just wrangling everyone together. Please bear with us and thank you. And we'll allow you in the room.
Yeah.
And as she closes the door, the first thing I do is put down the tea and say, "Hello there. Good morning. Good afternoon. It seems we've made the front page." And I toss them the newspaper across the table.
No, I've seen. Good thinking on your part.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for not coming to you all first, but I thought it was highly critical that I get here as quick to locate an office like this as quickly as possible.
And Holden will smile warmly and extend a hand. The Carnathian. I should have figured that out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's not surprising that we're the cool and logical ones.
I appreciate your assistance. I'm hoping that we'll be able to make the best of it. Regardless, I wish you all the best, and we'll see what happens from here.
When in the mood for any tea, they have coffee if you're not interested.
Tea sounds lovely.
See, I'll get us some tea then.
Coffee.
Coffee. Dark sugar, no sugar.
Dark and sweet.
Dark and sweet. Very, very well, Lady DeCanneth. And I just give the order.
Yeah, one of the clerks who is like filing paper and opening books and scanning, you kind of like, "Oh, could I get this and that?" And they kind of drop all their legal work. Go, "Oh, yes, right away."
Thank you
Mr.
very
Drager.
much.
Thank you
very
and
much.
stand up and go, "I'm going on a coffee run. Does anyone need any?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's and then runs out. Yeah, it's worth noting that these two clearly house like dragon marked like Madani individuals. They're two rather tough looking dudes. To be frank, they're two like kind of tough looking dudes. They look like they work out a bit, and they're both half elven, of course.
So and those are the people who are doing like the clerical work right now, or are they the ones who are guarding?
They're not guarding. You see that every now and then. It seems that one of them kind of sits back and will like the mark will glow occasionally, and they'll just kind of sit there with the mark and kind of like look blindly around the room, and then they'll like talk amongst each other, and then they'll do paperwork. So they're doing paperwork. They're doing something detection-y, Madani. But they're working hard. The clerks are like going through paperwork and going through books and tagging parts of books and just doing the clerical work.
Nice.
And there's like 3 or 4 people in here at any given time, 2 of which are always going to be House Madani. So you guys all get together, at which point we're going to transfer over to Elizabeth and Zolly.
Heck yeah.
Elizabeth and Zolly. Okay, fun stuff. You guys sit in the room for a while. Maybe you guys get some sleep finally. At around whatever amount of time, we'll say we'll say you guys are both like coming out of your long rest. It's fine. You guys can click those buttons over there. You guys come out of your long rest. And you're kind of milling about the room, and there's like some food there. It's kind of boring. It's almost like an office. It's like somebody's office, and you're just kind of chilling on these like very nice couches and seats and whatever. And you start to hear like this talking at the door. This sort of like agitated conversing going on, like not yelling, but clearly there's a back and forth going on outside the door. Do either of you want to hear? Yeah, okay. Good. Okay. Why don't you make me a little perception check?
Yeah.
And you can as well, Elizabeth, if you care up here.
Zolly is going to like pad up a little bit closer to the door of her quarters and will, if possible, actually cast guidance on this one. But
absolutely.
Yeah. Alrighty. So you said perception?
Yep, perception. For you as well, Elizabeth. Yeah, Elizabeth.
All right, and then that'll be a 20 total.
20 total. You hear the phone. You're here. Actually, Mr. Knight of the Arcane, I'll have you know that the Code Galifar states that all citizens are protected, dragon marked or not. They have the right to defend themselves and are presumed innocent before guilty. Unless you have any charges that you'd like to bring against these dragon marked members immediately, I'd suggest you let them go, or unfortunately the royal court's going to have a very hard time prosecuting them without a jury of their peers here to render judgment. That the king, they may be monarchs, but they are still held under the contents of the Galifar Code as the legals of the land held by the Treaty of Thronehold. I don't know how you intend to hold them and still have anything to hold water here. And they go, okay, all right, fine. They go, like, I've got to let my superiors know. And they go, like, I'm not here for your superiors. I'm here for them. And unless you let them go right now, this is going to stick. And you're not going to have anything on these guys. They're going to walk. You want them to walk and you guys to be in charge of that? You guys want to be responsible with your names in the newspaper just after theirs about how they walked because of these 2 idiot guards? And we're like, there's a pause, and you hear an unlocking of the door. And no persuasion check required, because this is not persuasion, this is just the law. And they just like peek their heads in the door, these like Knights Arcane. They're like, don't leave town. And then they just go back to their posts. And you see this woman with a flowing braid of blonde hair, like thickly braided down her shoulder in a blue scholarly robe, with a book under her arm, walk in, and you say, Elizabeth de Jurasco and fuck your last name, Zali Nasir de Torn.
That is correct.
Indeed.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm your lawyer. And she'll stick her hand up, shake your hand.
Yeah, Zali will reach out and shake it and kind of size her up, just given that Madani, like, Zali was accepting legal help here, but House Madani is still something of
they're competitors.
Yeah, exactly. They have their own lanes, but they're still a competitive house.
Yep. And you recognize the mark easily. Yep. Given your background. Just Lady Marina de Madani. Anything that you say is obviously held in legal counsel with me. Feel free to come with me now, and I'll be happy to begin processing your case.
Do I have to give you 5 copper to have you on retainer first?
No, this will be strictly pro bono.
No, delightful.
It's high profile.
And that's why we're
paying
taking
an
it.
exposure, okay.
Absolutely paying an exposure. Oh boy, you guys are front page news. And to be very clear, I've talked to your associates, and as much as there is confidentiality and you have no obligation to speak to me of any kind, I fully understand your situation and believe the entire situation. Market detection has some benefits that allow us to know that with certainty. So, fully on your side in this case, and fully informed of it as well.
Handy.
Well, and we've had some frank conversations with Dual Renko.
I see. I would advise you to not speak too much further on the matter while on these current grounds, as anything you say can be used against you in the court of law. I'd suggest you come to my office and we can discuss this further.
Certainly.
Certainly.
All right. Right this way. And she'll... Right this way, ladies. And she'll turn around and have a bit of like a nose in the air look. You get the sense that she lives for this shit.
She
Actually,
is
you can't
power
hold them.
walking out of that
Yeah,
building.
she is. She's like walking out. She's feeling herself.
She's
The
about
guards
to
are
be
like,
front page news.
fucking lawyers. And you guys just walk right out. Hell yeah. In which you guys are... I'm saying that as if I have a team of people who cut the music. It's just me. But anyway, takes you right to the advocates at the Chalice Law Firm, where after, again, about an hour of Holden and Rowan and Ludwig sitting around, Elizabeth and Zolly are brought into the same room, and you guys are given the same speech about confidentiality, so on and so forth. In which you finally meet your lawyer, Holden and Rowan. As you enter within, and Zolly, Elizabeth, you of course see the same thing. You see the Madani people hard at work, the clerks hard at work. You make your way into the room, and this very quite pretty half-elf woman walks up to you, Holden and Rowan, says, "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am her fucking name, Lady Marina de Madani. I'm your lawyer, and I will be happy to represent you in the coming days."
She was like, "Welcome back, Lady Madani."
Mr. Dreger, shake your hand, shake your hand, shake your hand, shake your hand.
I feel like it's if now that everyone's in and is the door closed.
Doors closed, and she says, "Unfortunately, Mr. Cross has decided to decline my services. It complicates things, but it's not by any means a large issue. And if we play our cards right, maybe we might even be able to help him out, regardless."
I suppose I might as well be the first to explain myself. I came here immediately after seeing our faces in the front page in the morning, although only 4 of us actually, 4 faces actually. I came here and she knows everything about what happened last night. I've already explained it to her.
Understood. Out of character, would Zolly have been able to retrieve her belongings from the guard jail offices, dungeons?
Lady Marina de Madani would have ensured that both Elizabeth and Zolly's personal effects were indeed secured from evidence.
Delightful. Already.
And that sparks my question: how did you 2 get locked up already?
What are you, an arc?
I was accosted by the city guard and unlawfully detained.
I see. Zolly?
What are you, an arc?
It was like, I'm just curious.
I was trying to retrieve my luggage.
Very well. Ryan, do I believe either of these people?
Zolvi, Elizabeth, make persuasion checks. Ludwig, make an insight check.
Okay.
As I believe both of them are being honest.
16.
16.
That's a 10.
I rolled a 13. That gives me a 12.
You're not sure they're telling you everything, Ludwig. Probably it's difficult to read.
Because like I just
insight versus the persuasion.
Okay, it's tough to read. I just marked down my head. Potential loose cannons. Okay.
At this point, Lady Marina de Madani is going to say, so let's get down to business. I have heard, in fact, more so, I will disclose that me and Mr. Erdreger, I went into Mr. Erdreger's consciousness via a detect thoughts charm, little divination from my mark, and I'm fully appraised of the situation from Mr. Erdreger's perspective. And as a complete optional, I do that with all of the rest of you as well, just so I can be as tightly as I can. Entirely optional isn't going to make or break the case in any way. It helps, but not in any way obligatory to what happens next. I'd love to go through with each of you privately interview you guys if we don't want to do that, and just hear about what happened on your side. Talk about any possible misconduct that may have occurred on your side or the other, discuss what we can do about that, and proceed forward. I have no doubt there will be a royal summons in which, unfortunately, there's nothing legally I can do to stop the royal court from actually summoning you before them. However, if they decide to take legal action against you, such as incarcerating you or so on and so forth, unfortunately, despite the power that they hold as monarchs, it does have its limits, as the Code Galifar does exceed the crown to an extent. So I will be able to officially call a case before, in judgment of a jury of your peers. I will warn you, however, that jury, of course, will be Ondarian. By and large, will be picked by Ondarians. So I noticed that there's a lot of what it seems like there's a lot of nationality in the room, and that could make an effect. I don't imagine it will be too large of an issue. We have House Tarasco, House of Healing. Everyone loves House of Healing, and we'll go through all of that anyway. Anyway, I'm starting to go on a little about myself and starting to get a little into it before. But anyway, just like to interview you all about the situation, talk about what happened, any misconduct of any kind, anything that could be perceived as a misconduct or an illegal action on your side, and we'll just start going through them and making our way forward. But if I'm to understand Mr. Ludwig's side of things, it very much sounds to me that you were all put in an unfortunate situation, and while some of you refused to be detained, they detained you anyway, which is illegal. So I feel like this is going to be a pretty quick closed case, if you ask me. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. I don't foresee any large problems arising from this. Does anyone have any questions about how we intend to proceed?
No, go ahead.
Do you have any idea when we might be required to appear before the royal court for lack of a better term, interrogation?
I imagine that there's pressure mounting for for a royal proclamation about the events that occurred, which will probably happen sometime today. Considering you've decided to take legal counsel, it's possible that the royal court might attempt to condemn you. I have to interview you all more to understand fully, and we have to see what they say. We'll go from there, but we should wait and see what happens with the royal proclamation. And once that's concluded, we will surely receive probably summons sometime today for whenever they decide. Unfortunately, you will have to appear before the royal court. That is a legality of Ondare that can't be overridden.
After we all speak with you individually, would it be best if we all just went over there collectively and afterwards?
We can do this as soon as you all want. I would like to interview you all separately just to get really clear on my basis. I have the clerks working hard on your case outside. I have a pretty clean idea about what's going on here. As for you, Mr. Torn, and you, Mr. Jarasco, you were illegally, well, Mr. Jarasco, your case is going to be very simple. You were illegally detained. It was, innocent before proven guilty. Despite the measures going forward, you shouldn't have been arrested. Maybe brought to somewhere to be spoken to, or someone should have came to you to speak to you. But arrest was pretty unlawful.
I did embarrass the city guard for their overreach, which probably motivated them to exigent circumstance.
Ooh, okay. We'll work on that. As for you, Mr. Torn, you did unfortunately infiltrate an active crime scene without the approval, which is it's illegal.
It is.
It is. So that's tricky. I don't think anything's impossible here. But Mr. Ludwig, or Mr. Drager, Mr. Lackyard, Mr. Kenneth, I don't think there'll be too much issue on your end as long as your whole stories all hold up similarly to Mr. Drager's. Unless they have any evidence to bring against you, that will be easy shut. As for, I can't talk about Mr. Cross. He's not one of my clients. I don't know his situation. As for you, Mr. Jarosco, and you, Mr. Torn, that's going to be a little tricky. I've got to ask, because this might be a powerful leverage that we might be able to use against the Iberian Royal Court. This dragon mark, this new dragon mark, has there been any discussion about what the future of these marks together hold? I know traditionally in history, a house is bound. I mean, this all happened last night. This is a lot to suggest, but maybe Ondare can be revelaged by the creation of a new house?
Well, that remains yet to be discussed by the limited pool of individuals who are so marked.
Yes, of course.
But I would ask if there's any precedence to strike any mention of the new mark from the public record until such time as that it either proves germane to the investigation or germane in some other way. That way we can have the time to discuss that as a community to decide how that impacts our current household obligations, and she'll gesture to Ludwig, to his noble obligations.
Understood. I could certainly do the best I can to ensure that. I will warn you that the Kornberg Chronicle has its fingers dipped pretty deep into this. I can only do so much against them. If they catch on to something, there's nothing I can do. Unfortunately, there's nothing legally I can do. I can do my best to try and seal that in. The royal courts will probably find it a relevant portion of information. It's not every day that a new dragon mark appears. I will do everything I can if that is what you wish, but I would, as your legal counsel, recommend that if you decide what you want to do about it sooner rather than later.
And that's something that we all need to discuss, but we would need to have that discussion with Mr. Cross as well.
I understand. I can always, if you will come to a decision or an offer for Mr. Cross, I would be pretty confident I could catch up with him. I'm pretty sure I could find my way to Mr. Cross and at least share any offers on the table, make him reconsider proceeding forward without legal counsel. If you gave me something to perhaps persuade this individual with, I don't know. It seems like you all don't know each other very well, and that's fair. But I would advise you a couple of things. The first of which is it's how you want to spin this. Ondare could spin it that they accidentally arrested prominent members of, dragon-marked houses, and it ends up being that you guys aren't terrorists, which seems like what it is, and that sucks. Or they could spin it as, in all of the craziness, Ondare and perhaps another dragon-marked house, as that's traditionally how it happens, aided in the creation and founding of a new dragon-marked house, and that could be spun really well, and that would oblige them to let you go. And it possibly gains you favor, alliances, and so on and so forth. That's a little more political I'm getting into. Legally speaking...
Get ahead of this, though.
Exactly. It'd be good to get ahead of it. It sounds like you're all very well-connected individuals. There might be some political maneuvering you could do, but as specifically your legal counsel, I'm not worried about Mr. Lockyard, Mr. Canneth, or Mr. Eardregger. You, Mr. Jarosco, is fine. You, Miss DeTorn, you're gonna be my tricky case. The
members of the Eyes seemed interested in potentially using my services to try and find those that actually caused the issues with the ship. So perhaps there is room for negotiation there.
Right. Possibly. And I think it's a good point. I may be a lawyer, but I'm also from a dragon-marked house, and I know how, that all works. I think at the end of the day, maybe there's something you can provide them that is more important than legal ramifications of your attempt to reacquire your personal possessions, such as the actions were. So if you can find something more valuable than your incarceration, go with that.
Understood. I believe I could manage that.
Very well. Okay, well, let me give you some time, give you a moment to discuss, because a royal proclamation is probably going to be happening sooner rather than later. You probably all want to discuss how you want to proceed forward. Some of you might want to proceed individually, moving forward legally. Some of you might want to do this all together. Take a minute, discuss, figure out how you want to proceed. Yes. Okay. And I'm going to go check in with my team, and I'll be back soon enough. She will leave, and we are going to have this discussion. But she'll put in there, and she says, I think most prominently of your topics is discussing Mr. Cross. I think you all will work a lot better together. If you can give me something to go to Mr. Cross with to convince him to come in to this legal gathering, it might help his case and thus help all of your case, especially if you come together as like a new house. So think of Mr. Cross. That might be your first point of business, but you have much to discuss. I'm gonna go check on my team. Give me a minute. She'll take off. We're gonna come back to you guys. Want to deal with Mr. Cross. You do wait for a while, Cross, in this like room, little board, until eventually you're going to see someone that some other people have seen this time around. You see wandering in is the Salt and Pepper, rather mild-mannered individual that, not to your knowledge, but did interview Zolly and Elizabeth. If I can just fucking find his goddamn hand up. There it is. Walks in, spectacles, a little bit more done up. He has like he looks about the same. He walks in, he sits down. He says, Mr. Cross, I am Thayo Rakanok. I appreciate you coming in for questioning, and I'd like to take a minute to ask you about the events that occurred on last night.
Well, I thought it best to nip this in the bud as fast as possible. I'm needed back in Nicaea, and I can't say I appreciate having my face plastered over the Gorenberg Chronicle.
I apologize for the bluntness. Um, uh, Let us proceed. And he'll ask you, we can speed this up a little bit. He'll ask you about the events of the night. Um, he'll just kind of go into it. Is just like point A, point B. Really be a yes or no situation.
Yeah.
Um, he'll say like, I've talked to your two of your associates by the name of Zali Nasir de Torn and Elizabeth de Jarosco, and they described to me events that occurred last night. Um, and he'll just go through their stuff and ask you to like confirm or deny anything.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, and if you do, you confirm everything, I presume.
Yeah, I confirm everything. I also add in that, like, I will, like, mention that I spoke with the Queen during the end of the evening, and she herself could confirm that a conversation between the two of us did transpire. So I must attest, I lack motive for such a crime to begin with.
I see. Well, this will all be taken into consideration. As you can imagine, the royal court is a little bit in a stir, considering what has occurred. Your diplomatic status with New Seer may do well. I will advise you not to leave town. There will be a royal summons for yourself, probably within the day or more. Is there anything that you would like to add to the events that were described by Mr. Torn and Mr. Carrasco, as I've described them to you?
No. The record of events is accurate by my own recollection.
Very well. As I said, please don't leave town. But thank you for coming in. And again, apologies about your face being put on the newspaper. Very well. And he will. Well, actually, he'll ask you. He'll say, "Would you feel comfortable answering these questions or confirming that everything that you've said in this meeting is, as you've put it, under the scrutiny of a zone of truth spell?"
But that would depend on the exact questions you're going to ask. I'll consent to the spell under the condition that I may refuse to answer if I feel that it infringes upon my duties as a diplomat.
Fair enough. He will do the same thing. Little steel holder, gemstone. The room sort of plumes with magic, and he'll say, "Can you confirm and acknowledge that everything that you have said in this interview thus far has been fact to the best of your knowledge?"
I can confirm that everything I've said is in fact to the best of my knowledge.
Were you involved in any way with the terrorists or the crime itself?
I was in no way involved with the terrorists or the crime.
Understood. And is there anything else that you would like to add on the record? Any other information that you could provide that might help us bring a swift end to this tragedy?
I can't actually. Let me see. Do I think there's? In the immediate aftermath of the attack, when I and the other survivors conversed, I did attempt to locate Carrier Vath through a locate object spell. I thought perhaps I could track down her dress, but it came to nothing. She was presumably beyond my reach.
See. As for your associates, the other 5 who you arrived on the hill with, to the best of your knowledge, do you believe any of them had any involvement with the terrorist or the crime itself?
I asked. I conducted the test very similar to this one with my own Zone of Truth and received answers that they were not involved.
I see. Well, that actually helps a great deal, Mr. Cross. Thank you for saying so. It does make my job a little harder, but it does help a lot. That is all we will require from you today. Then, Mr. Cross, you are free to go, and my apologies for any dress that may have came up during the event or afterwards.
Well, I'm hoping by the end of this, the Chronicle publish a redaction. An article like that is very damaging to one's reputation, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Indeed. Unfortunately, I am not responsible for the Corenberg Chronicle, but during your royal council, I'm sure you could make such a request. If not, contact the Corenberg Chronicle themselves. They have a reputation for being reliably objective. So, if you are indeed innocent, and it sounds like you are, I have no doubt that the Corenberg Chronicle will be happy to clear your name in the coming days.
Very well. Thank you for being so understanding of my situation. And as you say, if I'm free to go, then I'll come back when the royal court summons for me.
Cool. He'll stand up. He will retrieve all his things into his thing. He'll give you this sort of small talk goodbye and shake your hand if you would be willing to.
I guess the thing Cross does here, they offer the hand that's like gnarled and like blackened and like really kind of metallically skeletal, and kind of offers it and has like a long stare to see if they'll take it.
You see, he looks at it with surprisingly, his eyes don't change much. Maybe usually you get like a holy shit reaction from people. You gotta see, he definitely acknowledges it and kind of like looks at you, and he will take it and shake it. He definitely gives you in that moment, it gives you for as mild-mannered and simple a man as he seems, in that moment it gives you the idea of someone who's got some nerves of steel or has seen some shit. Just like it's not that he sees much of that surprises him at this point.
Yeah. Cross kind of gives like a very kind of subtle, slight nod at that before kind of going on their way.
Fair enough. Understood. And you will be allowed on your way. We will come back to the group. You guys are all in your room. You were just told by your lawyer to consider Mr. Cross some way to sort of bring him back into the fold of this little legal party you've built, and to discuss the future of yourselves and what this dragon mark might mean to you all as individuals or as a whole.
Well, as an outsider, a bit of an outsider to all this, I think you all have separate responsibilities from mine when it comes to these these new marks. Zali, Liz, Rowan, do you know if there's any precedence of someone getting 2 marks at once, or?
I've never heard of
It
it.
should be an important.
It is rather troubling, given that many of the houses are bound by the presence of the mark as much as by common goals. It is concerning, to say the least, that some of our positions may be unstable within our houses.
I can imagine. Not. What? When was the last time a new Dragon Marked house appeared?
400 years ago, ish.
So before even the war.
The war lasted some centuries, but close to the start, perhaps.
So which was the last Mark to appear?
I don't think it was Thrash, though we were one of the youngest. Would Zully know what the most recent mark was?
I'm pretty sure it's Thrash, right? I'm pretty sure it is. I could go double check.
I think they're technically the second youngest.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't recall what the youngest is.
Here, let me take a little look here. Make a history check, whoever wants to see if they know.
Yeah.
Can I make one?
Yep.
Sure.
It's a 6.
11.
13.
Jeez.
10.
No.
Alden, do you have any idea?
I don't believe I do. I have to be honest with you, I'm not terribly familiar with the houses.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like nobody saves my butt from the lore die. Nobody's really sure.
It's Thrash. I can tell you, it absolutely is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Thrash.
Don't look at me. I'm from the Shadow Marshes in Rome.
Drum, really?
Yeah, I spent the last good stretch of years up in Greywall, far west of here.
Interesting. Well, I mean, back to the matter at hand. If there's no precedence for this type of thing, there could be opportunity, perhaps.
There is absolutely opportunity. For those of us who are already from dragon marked houses, I think there's going to have to be some personal investigation into what those split responsibilities will look like. But for those without an existing mark, you now have one. And there comes some privilege and burden associated with that. I don't get the impression, no offense, Holden, that you carry a noble title, so that particular stricture isn't at issue for you. Ludwig, on the other hand,
how much
are you
affect me?
Are you your father's only heir?
No, I'm his fourth son.
Oh, fine.
Well, you're
He
no
has-
longer in the line of succession.
True. So it's completely off.
Completely.
Well, if you're
You
in,
can't hold a noble title.
if you're in a house, you cannot own land either.
Can they own this building, perhaps? For example.
Buildings, certainly, you simply cannot really claim territory or fiefdom or
Great.
things of that nature.
Well,
Yeah. If anyone wants to roll I guess a history check about the legals of the dragon marks, yeah, you go right ahead.
And keeping with my character, 8.
Yeah.
8-8. I'll get an advantage to my dragon marked fellows. This would be pretty important to you guys in how you live your lives.
It's an 8, I guess.
16.
22.
You weren't really listening to Zolly. You're from a place where they.
Zolly knows like the
where-
broadest strokes, but isn't really concerned with the intricacies of legality.
Yeah, and in fairness, from where you live isn't a recognized nation, or have lived for most of your life isn't a recognized nation. So the court edicts don't really reach that far. But Rowan and Jarosco, I think, very true to your characters. You guys absolutely know about the court edicts. Obviously established long ago in Karnath, they maintain that it prevents houses from owning land, holding noble titles, and maintaining military forces, with the exception of House Deneth, Mark of the Sentinel. Now, specifically what that means, owning land is different than owning property. So while you can own a house or an apartment or something of that like, and you can own businesses, taverns, and so on, you can't, as previously said, own fiefdoms. You can't lord over people. Now, with that said, that seems to be a little loose these days. You guys actually at least saw the Baron of House Lyrandar, who is a Baron who does indeed own land. And there are instances of various dragon-marked houses owning land despite the court edicts. It's seemingly a little looser these days now that's, the nations are split. Nobody really has the power to enforce them on the dragon-marked houses. So while the court edicts legally do stand, the rules have been bent across Corvair, and nobody really has time or power to enforce that on all the dragon-marked houses.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the queen married to one of the dragon-marked?
She is. Yeah, the queen, that is true. The queen is married to a member of House Devanus, I believe it is, or Vandus, whatever. The Mark of Handling. But he has he has joined her family and thus released himself as being considered an heir of the dragon-marked house. So while he still maintains familial association with the family and considers himself involved, he legally, technically isn't a member of that house. But again, the dragon-marked houses are given a lot of flack these days to do whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, legally speaking, you would have to drop the name of you wouldn't be able to succeed your father unless you personally, behind the scenes, legally, this is a political intrigue game, unless you brought to yourself enough power as a dragon-marked person that the Karnath would be willing to be like, oh, okay, whatever, we don't give a shit.
Okay.
They couldn't enforce the court ethics on you.
Okay, I speak to you as well. Unless something massively changes, I suppose I'll be living off the mercy of my father and my older my father for the time being. Once he passes with Erasmus, it's a complete gamble.
Not necessarily. We have, as our lawyer pointed out, we have the opportunity, if the houses, one of the reasons those strictures exist is to level the playing field. We would have to figure out, what the breadth and scope of these barks is, and figure out how to leverage them for power and profit, if you'll pardon me being blunt. But the existing houses have a great deal of wealth and influence, and you would not necessarily be beholden to the goodwill of anybody. It would give you some clout to start with, as would our individual house memberships. Give us a point of leverage. But this is wholly uncharted territory, and it's bringing together a unique panoply of skills and talents, which I think we would be crazy not to explore for personal and more altruistic goals. There's an opportunity to be had, but I think our first endeavor has got to be how to liaison with Mr. Cross, and bring him into this discussion.
Yeah, true. I'm not sure how a Warforged Dragon Mark would even work.
It's, to the best of my knowledge, it's reasonably new territory.
I actually want to. I'm very sorry. I want to take a super quick pause concerning Cross. Super, super quick. Cross. I never asked. Where are you going? Where are you going after your little legal debate?
I was going to go back to whatever accommodation I was using to get my stuff.
Anywhere after that?
I had not thought that far ahead.
Let me know if you do. Feel free to chime in or whatever. Okay, fantastic. Sorry, Elizabeth. Please continue.
Now, I'm aware that you could tell by looking at Cross that he has a physical ailment of some kind.
Clearly. That's putting it mildly.
I'd be willing to leverage my personal skill and background to investigate, possible cure, or something of that nature. I'm not an expert on the Warforged or their, I don't want to say the biology, but their
mechanics.
Well, they aren't purely mechanical either.
Their functions.
Their functions. Perhaps.
Their functions. I guess that's.
I can help. We can work.
And that's where I think that, in particular, that's a sailing point. If we wanted to try to convince him that this potential of a fledgling house may have some personal advantage to him. Having a member of House Decanus and House Jarosco willing to put forth that effort. That may be advantageous.
It's a very good point. Can I get a history check, please, from whoever wants to know about sort of like the origins of dragon marked houses, so to speak?
Okay. Speaking of the Canith, what are your thoughts on this? Well, that should not have been.
13, Ryan.
13. Who else?
17.
16.
16. I'll give it to my dragon mark friends because again, it's a center of information that you two would know well. Traditionally speaking, historically speaking, dragon marked houses have been found in conjunction by another dragon marked house. So, for example, House Thrash was founded by House Civis. House Civis went out and found the different clans, brought them together, and formed House Thrash. And this has happened with many dragon mark houses. There is something to be said about the political advantage of, finding a house to found you guys. They get to take credit for finding you guys, but maybe with that, you kind of associate themselves with you in an alliance. They help you out. They help you get your feet underneath you. If you wanted to take a stab at forming a dragon mark house, that is, of course. That's a possible alliance there. You're in the rare position where you can pick possibly which house finds you and supports you.
Which one do you all think would be most likely to support us if this even idea even goes forward?
I think you're putting the cart, the road, and also several lanes of traffic before the horse.
Probably.
I do not know your goals. I definitely do not know the Ganeths or the Roscoes or let alone the Warforgeds.
Goals.
I think those are discussions that we absolutely need to have. Probably not before whatever the royal intercession is. But I think the possibility, if we leave it open, may provide enough of a inducement to circle our collective wagons, as it were. Does anybody know how to get a hold of Mr. Cross?
I could find him for you.
We can send a message. We could go to where he was last
Zali
laid his
can
head.
find him. That is what Zali does.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan's just got a big smile. It's probably the first time anyone's seen her smile.
It is something of a specialty.
If I may, I can understand why Cross isn't here. I've got to be honest, I fully considered not coming myself, and I'm not yet sure that it's best for any of us that I be included in this particular proceeding. I'll speak to the lawyers. We'll see what they have to say, but I don't necessarily have the same credentials to fall back on that the rest of you have. Perhaps, I'm sure that's not the exact same reason that Cross isn't here, but it does seem like a difference in standing is why he may feel a little outside of this particular opportunity.
He seems like this secretive type. Given Saya's situation, I'm not surprised.
Honestly, I think you and Cross' presence would be important for legitimacy. Otherwise, we'd just be a bunch of dragon-marked fuckwits that are making a power play.
At this point, the door opens, and your lawyer steps through. As a note, I have made a handout of your lawyer.
Yay!
Yay!
Marina de Madani, if you guys care to see what she looks like.
Ooh!
Oh, yeah?
Ooh,
She's
Oh my!
pretty!
goodness.
Pretty!
Wow.
Yeah, she's. Hey, man, I personally think half elves are the cream of the crop. Elves are cool, beautiful, graceful, all of that, but very almost accentually fake. I think half elves just combine the best of both. Human, I think half elves.
Yeah, they do.
No.
They do.
This is House of Detection. She steps back in and she says, hope I'm not interrupting anything. I just wanted to give you all an update about things going on. If you have a moment.
Of course.
Absolutely.
We're simply
Oh,
talking
okay.
circles.
Understood. I think my father used to call it planning paralysis. Anyway, let me tell you what's going on. So I have received word from a friend that Mr. Cross has been released. It seems that whatever he did, whatever he said, he's been released from the castle. You can let me know if you want me to go find him, or if there's anything I can put before him, or if perhaps you want to, because it's the second thing I wish to let you know. Well, 2 or 3 things. The currently the basically the alert that has gone out across the city watch to seek the 4 of you out who are on the paper today has ceased. Even if people should report you to the authorities, there's been a citywide notice that you are no longer being sought. So you should be able to walk around freely again around Fairhaven. And the last is that the Royal Proclamation will be occurring within the hour at the Sovereign Ward. So if you wish to go take a look, feel free. If you wish to stay here, and we can report to you the important notes, we can do that as well. Just wanted to let you know those progress updates.
I've already lady, may I call you Marina?
Yes, of course.
Marina, thank you for your help. I've already told you everything. You still need to speak with the others. I could go try and find Cross and speak with him if you all want.
If there's a proclamation happening within the hour, that is where they will be.
Possibly, if you
They're
want to speak with him
diplomats.
beforehand.
And if you would, and of course, as I said, feel free to do whatever you wish. Stay here, travel, go to your estates. All I would ask is that you just leave a place where we can find you with one of my clerks. That's all, just so we can get back in contact with you.
Marina, if I could speak with you prior to the summons, it would be probably beneficial to the case.
Of course, and I still need to interview everybody except for, of course, Mr. Drager. But that can all be done. It doesn't have to be done immediately, but certainly before any sort of royal summons. Yes, Mr. Kenneth?
I know that not everyone knows has a place to stay in town. I would like to offer the hospitality of Kenneth Manor
Really now?
for the duration of the case.
Well, I just have to accept and take a look at what happens there.
Is it large enough for all of us?
We will squeeze.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Lady Kenneth.
Dolly gives a smile that can only be described as Grinch-like.
Rowan returns the
Hilarious.
smile.
Ludwig is unnerved by both of them smiling at each other like that.
Completely cartoonishly.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay. I can't wait for that little reveal. That's gonna be fun. Okay. Sweet. So why don't we go to the? Well, let me ask: is everybody heading to the Royal Proclamation? Is that the idea?
Do you all want-
Oh,
Yeah, assuming that she wants to interview us all beforehand, I'll make myself available. But
Yeah,
my
she said
intention
just
is to
before-
stay here until we go.
Fair enough. She said it's within the hour, and she said like you feel free to go out there. I just need to interview you all before the actual not the proclamation, not before the proclamation, before the summons. It has been yet to be decided when the summons will actually happen. So you're more than welcome to like go out and do your thing. But yes, she can interview Holden and interview you, Elizabeth, if you want to get it out of the way.
yeah. I'd prefer to do mine sooner rather than later.
So would
Okay.
Rowan.
He says, "Okay, well, it's within an hour. I'll only have, or I'm gonna have one of my clerks go out and get the cliff notes for me. I'm a little busy for proclamations right now. Yeah, so she'll grab some of you. I think we'll hit hold in, and then we're gonna bump to whoever goes out looking for Cross or to hear the proclamation, and then we'll bump back to Rowan and Elizabeth, perhaps at the beginning of next session for your interviews. Hold in. You are taken. I think everyone pretty much gets up, and they're like, or she takes you into her office. You guys are. This is your room, this little meeting room. It's basically your room for all intents and purposes. She takes you into her office. She closes the door. There's glass windows. She says, "Okay." She'll sit down. She'll invite you to sit down. She'll say, "Mr. Lackyard, thank you for allowing a moment to talk."
Yes. Hi, thank you. As I'm sure my friends out there can attest, since the incident on board the airship, um, everything's been fine, and we've all been okay, and we've helped each other get through this period of time the best that we could. I don't think anyone has any problems with me in that meantime. However, I'm not normally the type of person that's best examined by authority, and by that I mean that I have somewhat of a not even really a checkered past as much as one that's difficult to pin down. Um, I don't know exactly. I've never been through court proceedings. I don't know exactly how they work, but I assume if someone were to uh, set their mind to calling some question to my character, one of the places that they may start is that I don't have much of a history to trace, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize the good standing of the people in this group by the fact that uh, my question could be called into character.
I understand. Well, I have good news for you, Mr. Lockyard. Mr. Jarosco and Mr. Torn will probably have similar legal issues surrounding them due to their actions on the night. Um, um, but I thank you for telling me, for one. You don't want to be put under scrutiny. Um, I will take this under advisement for the case, and thank you for telling me so. Um, I have, I'm not going to ask anything that you don't feel comfortable telling me. You've disclosed to me that you don't think you would do well under scrutiny. I will do everything in my power to help you in that regard, and I would advise you not to answer any questions unless I'm present.
That seems fair enough. And honestly, I'm happy to be as cooperative as possible. I simply realize that I don't have the same um, traceable track record that some of our house affiliated friends have. And it would take a bit more effort for someone to uh, establish a history of behavior for me, and I don't want that to be a burden on the case. That's
I
what I
understand.
want.
Well, much as Mr. Cross has decided, you don't by any means need to take legal counsel yourself. I'm more than happy. Well, I would prefer to represent you, of course. I think this will be possibly beneficial for you all as if you go at this together instead of individuals. I think there's a certain publicity helps. As much as I'm meant to be just a lawyer, I think publicity definitely helps. And you all together, sort of as a united front, might be able to stand against this a little bit easier. But you say that it's difficult to. What was that? Something about difficult to pin anything on you? What was that part again?
Yes, I don't. Well, I don't necessarily have. Unlike, for instance, let's take Mr. Kenneth. Um, we know that she is a member of House to Kenneth. We know that within
Yes.
the past few years she's been back here in the city. We've heard the story of her return, but there was a period of time where she was outside of the realm, as it were, and you know we're not exactly sure what went on during that period of time. I guess I'm saying that my life would be fairly similar to that, not necessarily in action itself, in that it would be hard to for you know it would be difficult or challenging for people to determine where exactly I was, what exactly I was doing, that sort of thing. And I don't want that to overshadow the legitimacy of the people, that are involved in this particular uh, court case.
Understood. If I could be quite frank, Mr. Lackyard, that doesn't sound like a problem for me. It sounds, in fact, quite helpful.
Well, I happen to have unwavering faith in your abilities as long as you do. You are the expert here, and I'm nothing if not a fan of expertise. So, I believe that as long as you feel comfortable and confident going forward, you could do me a great service by helping me clear my name. If I can be a part of that, so be it. I make sure that I gave you a heads up to let you know that I I'm not necessarily uh, as easily mm, as easily displayed as maybe some of our more high profile members are.
I understand. Um, there's nothing like a big fire or big exciting individuals to cast a long shadow to stand in. If you wish to remain discreet, it sounds like there's some individuals in your group who might take the spotlight a little more intensely than yourself, Mr. Lackyard. So this might all work out for both of us.
All right. Well, you've certainly filled me with confidence, and I'm happy to participate as long as you maintain that confidence and you feel it's best for both myself, yourself, and the group at large.
I think it serves all of us for you all to get out of this as beneficially as possible. And I have confidence that there is potential here uh, to not only get out of this with your cleared names, but perhaps with a little more than you came in with. Perhaps a lot
All
more.
right. Well, then, thank you very much for your expert counsel, and I will be awaiting further instruction.
Fantastic. Yeah, and with that, the door closes. I do want to come around to Cross. You're like, you got all your stuff. You're like, what now? And you would hear, as lame as it is, I think there are town criers, so to speak, sort of saying like, "Royal proclamation happening on the high noon," and so on and so forth. Would you attend?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It sounds like Ludwig and Zolly are the two going to go cross, and Rowan and Elizabeth are sort of staying behind to perform their interview with our wonderful lawyer. And she'll conduct, and maybe we could save time on that because really it's just going to be like an accounting of the events, which we don't need to hear 100 times. So maybe I'll just message you all behind the scenes about your behind the scene interview with your lawyer, where she just is like, tell me the same story for the sixth time, right?
That seems fair.
Okay, cool. Unless, of course, anyone wants to deal with that in game. Maybe there's some special things you want to try and put in there and save. But let's come to the crowd. So, Zali, you're on the hunt. You're looking for someone who, on one hand, is very identifiable, and on the other hand, is very good at making himself look discreet. How do you intend to go about finding Cross in this great gathering of Ondarians here in the Sovereign?
Yeah, so first she would. The proclamation is happening at like a town square in Fairhaven, is that right?
If on the Roll20, I have a map open. Right in the dead center would be the Sovereign Ward and the Palace. In that very, very, very large paved area around, and the streets beyond would be just filled with people. So think very much like I don't want to say like St. Peter's, like the Vatican, because it has the courtyard. This doesn't have the courtyard, so maybe it's a little more like a gathering around Buckingham Palace, a little bit like a. Don't think of it like that. So people are just really filling into that large road and space around the palace right now.
Yeah. And so they'll be around here on the map. Is that correct?
Whoa! Yeah, exactly. How do you do that?
Seeing the
Oh, I know how to do
effects.
that. Yeah, it's the effects. That's right.
Uh,
Sorry.
So Zolly would make a haste to try and get there early and kind of scope out the place. You'd expect that Cross would be attending there, given their interest as a diplomat and their interest in kind of making dealings with the Queen and their stated concern regarding their reputation, as it were. So Zolly's gonna try and get up to like a decent point of elevation. Like if there's any taverns, bars, restaurants that are, 2 stories high, like a balcony seating, she would kind of go through there, grab a drink, head up to the balcony to get a nice one of elevation, and then tap into her mark, kind of sharpen her senses, and I would say pop elevated sight and just flank her senses up to a full bird's eye view over the square, and just begin kind of combing through the forming crowd for our Warforged friends.
And
Understood.
And I'm
I
just
will
looking
put
around
forth-
in the crowd.
Okay, I will put forth. There are a lot of people here. There are this is like Fairhaven has come out for this proclamation.
Yeah.
There is probably like a couple hundred people. Like it's very much needle in a haystack for just the bare naked eye. And the elevated sight does give you a better vantage, but it is still you combing through a crowd of several hundred people.
This is kind of like the first step of how she'd be searching.
Sure.
And she's mostly looking out for some of the more identifying factors. Like she knows Cross's rough height and build, and then the most common thing that she'd remember would be the singular kind of like glowing red lens, like Terminator style eye. Would be the feature that would probably pop out the most to her in a crowd, and that's what she'd be looking to see if that pops out. Because a red dot is not exactly a very common thing, even in a crowd of people. Let's
get started. Roll me a perception check, and Ludwig, as you're looking through, why don't you roll me? I'll say Zolly, it could either be an investigation or a perception. I know probably which one you're picking. But still.
Yeah.
Ludwig, I think this is. I'll give you the same. I'll give you the same. IDCs, folks, for this first one.
I'll take perception.
Okay. Does the boost advantage point give any kind of bonus or advantage?
For this many people, I'm afraid it's not going to do much for
That's
you.
fine.
7.
Oh, sorry, I accidentally did a advantage roll, so I'll go with whatever pops up first, which would be a 27 on the first roll.
Holy shit, Zolly. Fine. To the naked eye, to the normal individual, this is a ridiculous task. The idea of trying to Where's Waldo in hundreds of people is insane. Ludwig, you're literally just like making your way through the crowd. Zolly, you're tracking Ludwig. You know where Ludwig is. The one thing these people don't have is literal years, maybe decades of experience of doing this very thing. And Zolly, you take it like almost quadrant by quadrant style and kind of section it out. And there's no better person to play the game of I Spy than Zolly Nasir de Torn. And by some fucking miracle, you pick out Cross. Cross, where would you be standing? Near the front, near the back?
Cross would be probably near the back. They wouldn't they haven't had a chance to change their clothes yet. So they're still just in the stuff they were wearing at the event.
I mean, I guess Warforged don't sweat or anything. So.
Yeah. Don't perspire. Your outfit's probably looking just fine.
I also would say like they literally ratted them out with like a little gout of sort of mist sort of floated up towards the eye.
You maybe that's what catches it, Zolly. You just like something in the back of your mind is like, oh, smoke, remember, and you're like, oh yeah, and you kind of follow a little smoke trail down. You skim the quadrant and you find Cross with his wide-brimmed hat and glowing red eye.
Yeah. And I imagine this has been over a process of a good 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So Zolly's grabbed like an iced tea or another cold drink from the balcony, and as Ludwig is kind of coming through the crowd on the ground level below, she's going to kind of dip a finger into the drink and then flick a few drops down at Ludwig to get his attention, and then point towards Cross.
Zolly points towards Cross, Ludwig, and you kind of. It takes a second to look through the crowd, but maybe like a little less than 100 feet off, you catch wind of Cross. Zolly's so cool, dude. Zolly's just awesome, man. We need to get you a sniper rifle or something, man. Just call it a day.
Massive crossbow.
A crossbow? Oh, sorry. Anyway, you guys, so Zolly and Ludwig, you guys comb through the crowd and make your way towards Cross. And we're gonna end the session with the proclamation itself, just to get that out of the way, so we can marinate on that and move forward. That's for the end of the session. Okay. There's a big applause as the horns go off. Maybe as you guys are making your way through the crowd, you're going to hear the Ondarian national anthem. All folks of the brightest realm wave the flag of victory. Build the walls high that none can harm a land so free. Ondare is on the move. Hold your standard high. March on, march on. Ondare strives on until victory is ours. I'll never sing that correctly again. That's going to be different next time if I ever do it again.
Yes, they're all different at the same time. Please do that.
That's the thing with Ondarians is they can psychically link and understand how it's going to sound this time. That's their only psychic power that they all share. That's it.
Ludwig just very much to himself, somewhat rolls his eyes. He's like the kind of person who thinks everyone else's national anthem sounds silly, but his national anthem sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Not that anyone can see it, but he's like one of those people who does kind of like think that.
Yeah. And these guys are also like, yeah.
We don't have an accent.
That's very Carnathy of you to be like Ondarian son. Hilarious. The queen, beautiful, regal, steps out onto the balcony with her family behind her. People that you saw on the airship, you three, all sort of step out. And her voice is going to echo across the crowds. She's going to say, "Fellow Ondarians, thank you for gathering. It warms my heart to see such unity in such times. Last night, there was an attempt on my life and an attempt on the life of my family. More so, there was what we suspect to be a catastrophic attack on Ondare and its allies last night." Boo, boo, through the crowd. Ooh, she puts her hand up. He says, "I stand with you, my subjects. It brings great anger to my heart. It brings no small amount of disdain and passion to find these terrorists and bring them to the rightful justice of Ondare for their crimes. I invite all Ondarians to stand together, especially next to those who are grieving the losses of those who were lost on the Golden Dragon last night. And I would summon all, and I mean all, who survived the crash of the Golden Dragon, for there are some. Barons of dragon-marked houses, dignitaries of far lands, some few survived, managed to survive. I summon all of you to the royal court within the week, so that we may meet and discuss what you know and the steps to proceed forward to bringing this common enemy to all of us. For indeed, whether you were on the airship and survived, or you are an Ondarian of this fair nation, we were all attacked. Dragon marked Ondarian alike, allies all. Someone has struck at the very heart of Fairhaven, and I intend to bring them to justice for all of us. And there's a. She'll say, "Thank you. I will keep us safe. Keep the faith. May the sovereign host bless all your days." And there's a final. The applause breaks out, and the royal decree sort of brought to an end with the sound of silver trumpets. And people sort of like, they're all lauding, applauding. And it seems that the queen has indeed invited all of you to come to the royal court within the week to discuss what has happened, apparently with the interest of avenging those fallen and those who survived who were attacked. Some of you may look at this and say, hey, very diplomatic of you, very well played, to sound like the real saving the day lady up there. Perhaps it's genuine. Perhaps some of you are filled with a feeling of like, yeah, we were all attacked. Like, we were all, like, you may have all survived and you're in strange circumstances, but you're all victims. And you are of this attack, of this thing of fate, forced to witness this trauma and tragedy. And that brings it into the royal proclamation, and we'll pick up next session with Zolly, Cross, and Ludwig coming together in the crowd and seeing what happens next as you will go before the royal court of Ondare next session. And indeed, I will message you all in the week just to get the information of your interviews out of the way. I don't think that's anything that we need to play out 6 times over in game, unless you want to, of course. We'll end the session there. I hope everyone had a very good time. I hope everyone